All right, here we go. Welcome into the Rant with me, Pugs Moran. Radio Misfits Dallas proudly presents this presentation every Monday through Friday, live from the fabulous E-Gallery Studios in the beautiful Dallas Design District. Here's what it is: current events, hot topics, headlines, whatever it is that people are jabber-jawing about on this very day, I'm going to give it to you. And I give it to you in a nice little 2-hour stream of consciousness rant. What is that? That's just me looking at the news and then just off the top of my head. Okay, that's not true. That's not true because I actually prepare a little bit. Most of it's off the top of my head. It's a rant. It's a stream of consciousness. But there are certain points I'd like to get to, and, we do. Anyway, we've been doing this every day for 3 years here on the RadioMisfits.com network. We appreciate you tagging along. Thank you so much. Let's say hi to the chat room. A little bit of a different time today. Apologize for that. We'll give it a little for people to, acclimate to the new time. As I've duly prepared each and every one of you, this should come as no shock. As I told Jeff Ballard there in the Iowa cornfields, told him on Twitter, toughen up. I told you guys that we were going to be installing some changes. They were all going to be for the better. They are all going to be new and exciting. And sometimes this particular show, which I'm dedicated to doing in one way, shape, or form, this particular show will be occasionally interrupted. Now, I told you on Fridays that we were going to be interrupted because I knew that we wouldn't be a hard noon start on Fridays. So here we go. Second week in a row. We're prepared for this. It's not going to stop us. We're going to give you a full show, so don't you worry. Hi, Jeff. Hi, Ty. Hi, April. Jimmy Smells is here. Peter's here. Barney's here. Byron's here. Let's go. Come on. I'm saying hi to everybody. I just said hi to 12 people in the chat room. Let's see, who else do we got? Let's get these perfunctory issues out of the way. So I told you that I've decided that even though I'm an old man, I need to have liquids in my life that maybe weren't. Look, I grew up, you know what the liquids were? Lemonade, iced tea, Coca-Cola. That's it. Those are choices. Okay, so sometimes you get a Sprite. Dr. Pepper, if you're being exotic. I wasn't raised in Texas. I'm sorry. Dr. Pepper was not like ubiquitous. It was like, oh, look at this fancy ass doing Dr. Pepper. Essentially, I had sodas, I had water, I had lemonade, and I had iced tea. That's all we had. And by the way, it wasn't in bottled iced tea. You know what the most modern version? Country Time lemonade. That was it. We had like powdered lemonade. Oh, Kool-Aid. I forgot about Kool-Aid. What happened to Kool-Aid? Kool-Aid should do an energy drink. Anyway, point is this. I've been sampling new energy drinks and new hydration drinks, we'll call them. What do you call Gatorade? Well, it's a hydration drink, right? And why am I doing this? Well, it's because my son seems to exclusively drink nothing but hydration drinks. And then like in the morning, instead of coffee, he likes an energy drink, which is fine. Energy drinks are bad for you, but whatever. There's an entire generation that lives on them. So we'll find out. They're either going to live to 125 because of it, or they're all going to die at 60. I don't know. We'll find out. But I have been trying new energy drinks. Now, yesterday I showed you that I had a red Powerade. Now, Powerade is the hydration one that I think I'm settling on. I think I'm a Powerade guy because I do like Powerade. I really do. My son turned me on to freezing Powerade. This is frozen. This is fully frozen. You take a full bottle of Powerade, you freeze it, and then, you just have it. You're a slushy for a while. It never gets warm, is my point. It never gets warm. So I like the blue Powerade. Blue and red. I don't know. Are there more? They're the only two, and I like them. And again, not a commercial, right? This is a Pepsi product here. Trust me when I tell you Pepsi has nothing to do with this. But I've settled on Powerade as my hydration drink. Now, I got to get settled on an energy drink, right? Because, Red Bull would be too easy. We all know what Red Bull is, but there are a million of them. You got your rock stars, you got your this, your that. There's a million of them. So let me try an energy drink today. Dad, I stop, I get myself something to drink. Now, why did I pick this one? Have you seen this one? Okay. Have you seen this one? This is Code Mix. Code Mix energy drink. Now, you might be wondering, why did I just decide to pull this one out? Because this one, as it turns out, is local. This one turns out, yep, apparently it's from Addison. So we're going to give this one a taste. Where does it say? Does it say where it's from? I'm not a big fan of energy drinks, so, let's not get our expectations up too much. I don't know, codemix.us if you want to learn more about them. But they're a local company, so we should support local. Let me see. All right, what do we got here? We've got it's got guarana. Guarana, isn't that the thing that's in all energy drinks? All right, energy drinks are so hit and miss. All right, so here we go. All right, we'll try this one. A good Texas energy drink product. Let's see. Oh, wow. Okay. All right. It's not as cold as it should be. It should be cold, I think. Code Mix. That's really good. That's really good. And I'm not just saying that because it's an Addison company. I mean, I'll try another one on Monday or something, but that's really good. Support your local stuff. There you go. Look at that Code Mix. I think this is the early leader in my. I'm going to do a whole at the end of this. You can expect me to do a nice little energy drink and hydration beverage draft, which is what we'll do. All right, this is good. Good for them. I was so afraid that I was going to think something from Addison sucked, and it doesn't. It's actually really tasty. Do you know what it tastes like? Okay, so here's what I think it tastes like. Do you remember when Red Bull first came out? And this is what I was alluding to earlier when I was talking about when I was growing up, I had soda pop, lemonade, and iced tea. And the iced tea was always homemade. It wasn't, it was always tea bag steeping and then it had to get cold. It was always like bad homemade iced tea that was sold to us kids as being better than, Lipton's powdered stuff because it's sun tea, but it's fuck you. It's terrible tea. It's terrible homemade tea. I like the corporate consistency of Lipton. There's tea tastes the same every time. Just use the amount of scoops that it says and it's going to be great. This is actually in the early days of Red Bull. Do you remember tasting Red Bull for the first time? Do you remember what you thought it tasted like? Because there was it was truly the introduction of a new liquid flavor into our palates. Red Bull didn't taste like any soda pop. It had a weird, and you either in the beginning, if you were closed-minded, you went, it tastes totally foreign. Or if you were more, you might have tasted it and went, okay, that's interesting. Here's what I did. The first time I tasted Red Bull, I went, these are sweet tarts. And I don't know if that was by design, but that was the flavor. I'm like, these are liquid sweet tarts. That's what this tastes like. So the reason I bring that up is because that's what this reminds me of. Code Mix here, the Addison energy drink. Code Mix, sweet tarts, but like pedal to the metal sweet tarts. This is a sweeter, not so much. I mean, yeah. I would say classic 1998 Red Bull is what that reminds me of. All right. And now back to my Powerade, because now I need the rehydration. Powerade, fine Pepsi product, fine Fortune, probably what, 200? I don't know how big is PepsiCo. I just made myself laugh because in my head, I was thinking, well, I want to be honest and even keeled here. So let's promote Pepsi just as much as I did some fine, small Addison. I don't need to be fair in that exchange. All right, guys, how are you? So I had an interesting conversation this morning with a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, someone who I respect. And they're kind of like me in that, politically speaking, they find themselves in that 70% in the middle. I tell you, there's 15% of the people on the right cannot be dealt with. 15% of the people on the left cannot be dealt with. That leaves 70% of us, fairly normal people, who, as I state, we've never been kicked off airplanes. We've never gotten arrested at a Target. And we've still best of our knowledge, invited to family dinners and birthdays and stuff like that. That's who the 70% of us are. The other 15%, whatever, on one side, 15 on the other, they can go to hell. So I'm talking to a friend of mine who's kind of like that, except he leans a little bit right. He's a little bit, he's a successful professional. I don't want to say what he does. He's a professional. He's a doctor. Okay. It doesn't matter. He's a doctor. He's a former military guy. We're having this conversation today, and he's like, man, I'm just so sick and tired of this whole party system. These people, he leans a little right, but he doesn't seem to be a guy that's, he certainly wasn't advocating for the whole Trump thing. As a matter of fact, he was talking to me about how he's like, man, all of these people suck. Can we just agree on that? And I'm like, yeah, dude, that's why we're friends. Because that's kind of been your attitude the whole time. But then he said to me, he goes, you know what? We just need a king. We just need a king in this country. I'm tired of all this bullshit. And I bet you if you just asked people and said, would you want a king? I was stunned. Because he was relatively serious. However, longtime listeners to me, that I have forever been advocating for what I call a benevolent dictator. I think that, when you look at the way things are happening now with, I would say just everything being compromised down to its absolute inept soul, but there aren't even compromises being done anymore. So stalemates, nothing's getting done. So I've long said a benevolent dictator, and I've always advocated for somebody like, there's got to be people out there that we all agree on would be cool. Like these big decisions. All right, you be in charge of just big decisions, and I trust you to hire people who are smart. I trust you to be a good judge of character. I always come back to guys like Dave Grohl and Paul Rudd. I think let's put Paul Rudd in charge. Nobody's got a problem. Let's make Paul Rudd king for 10 years, see if he can't get shit straightened out, and we'll go from there. When I was younger, I used to say Springsteen, but he's apparently become way too divisive. I guess he's a liberal now. Springsteen is a liberal? No, he's always just kind of been Springsteen, but okay. So we can't use him. I think Dave Grohl is still safe. Anyway, I was shocked to hear my friend say this, but then I was reminded that I have long advocated for something very similar. So is that where we are? I don't know. Let's get ourselves a king. Let's go back to having a king. Let's normalize the idea that kings can work in America. Hey, hi, over here in the corner. Doesn't that fly in the face of everything that America is supposed to be about? Well, yeah, technically on paper, but nobody pays attention to the paper anymore. We're just doing what we think is going to be best for us today and tomorrow. That's all. So go ahead, let's have a king. This is really good. This is Code Mix. It's really good. Do I seem a little sped up? I feel like I'm a little sped up, and I've only drank about a quarter of the can. Jimmy Smells with a cynical yet actually appropriate given the times. Jimmy Smells says, vote for the lesser evil. I mean, that's kind of where you're at. Now you've got to internally, based on your own life experience, define what evil is to you and vote accordingly. But Jimmy Smells, good comment. Barney, Brave New World model. I don't know what that is. Where'd you learn that? In one of your 4chan groups, Barney? I don't know. The fuck is the New World model? Is that something Glenn Beck said? I don't know what that is. Sorry, I'm just teasing you, Barney. Because whenever I don't understand something, I then have to demonize the person who introduced the thing that I don't understand. It's because I'm small and petty. I'm working through it, but I don't know what that is, bud. Sorry. Frankie says we need to get rid of the two-party system. Obviously, the United Kingdom and Canada have better governments with multiple parties. Do they? They couldn't kick our ass in a fight. Yeah? You think so? I don't know. Pussies. Seriously? I mean, we can't hold up the British parliamentary model as any kind of example of what can be done in America because they're both Canada and Britain based on a monarchy. What is wrong with you? But I do agree with Frankie when he says we do need to introduce more legitimate parties. The idea that there are a whole bunch of parties. You can join any stupid fly-by-night party you want, but you're not going to have a hell's chance. You're not going to have an Ice Cube's chance in hell of gaining any kind of seat. Certainly nothing that you could caucus with. I mean, what are you So we have parties. But I think what Frankie's advocating for is some form of legitimization of some of the lesser parties, having a more. I'll tell you the one thing that we have taken that we're experiencing right now from the British model of politics, actually the European model, is this sprint. I've long said that we need to cut the election times down to about 4 months. That this idea that the minute somebody gets elected president of the United States, they begin campaigning for re-election, that is nonsense. That means the first 4 years of someone's administration is just walking on eggshells, trying to make sure they get the back four. That's nonsense. Well, all right, moving on. Mike says, F them both. That's the attitude. That's the attitude. I would love to see 4 or 5 parties. But what we're going to see here, and this was to my point, my God, I am a little jacked up. The sprint campaign. I mean, we're getting a sprint campaign from the Dems. They are showing us what is going to be possible when the opposition doesn't have 4 years of Oppo research to throw on you in TV ads and all of that nonsense. A sprint campaign, man, I would love it. I would love it if candidates in the future were not allowed to start campaigning until, like, you know, I don't know, March of the election year itself. It's not good for us to have 4 years of negativity and hatred and all of this. This person did this, just lying out. It's just not good. The election cycle is nonstop. It never stops now, simply because of what I said. After someone gets elected, they immediately start trying to get reelected. So I love the idea of the sprint. We're going to see what kind of momentum, what kind of enthusiasm you can create. Trump, on his side, they might be experiencing the very same thing, and I'll get to that when we get into the trending topics of the day. All right, what is the rant? That's enough small talk. That was pretty heavy small talk for a show that doesn't do politics. We're going to do a lot of politics, I think, now coming up. Not really partisan politics, but we're going to do politics because it seems to be interesting again. It's something that I'm actually interested in, which I haven't been since, I don't know, 2018. I don't know. It's been a while. This is the Rant. It's performed as a stream of consciousness, as I told you. I cover all the day's events, hot topics, current events, headlines, whatever it is. I do the show or perform the Rant in 4 different segments. The first one, we call it Antecedently on This Day. Essentially, that's this day in history. I cherry pick events from the past that occurred on this day, and we riff a little bit on them. Tell you a little. Sometimes it's fun facts. Sometimes it's, just a name I think is funny. Quarter 2 is birthdays. That's self-explanatory. Quarter 3, deads. This is where we take a look at the people who have passed away on this day in history, and we decide based on our own life experiences and Christian Judeo ethic, where'd they go, heaven or hell? That's what 3 is. Quarter 4, that's where the rubber hits the road. That is the hot topics, trends, current events, whatever it is that's breaking, happening right now. I'll give it to you to quarter 4. All right, if you're ready, the stream of consciousness is, where's my phone? Look at that. Hey, Peter. Good to see Peter hanging out with us today. Peter says, side note, opening ceremonies for the Olympics is bizarre. Yeah, man, we're going to talk a little bit about that. I know what's going on right now. You know what? I should put it on. We got TVs in here. I didn't think I was going to need a TV today. I was going to watch it tonight, here in America. It's supposed to be, he says it's bizarre. It's supposed to be mind-blowing. They're saying, well, hopefully that's all that's blowing. You know what I mean? They got some problems over there already, some very real concerns about Olympic security. What with, there being a war in Europe and a war in Israel and a war in God, just there's some concerns, rightfully so. There were some incidents today. We'll talk about that. Boats, right? Peter, they're doing stuff on the boats in the Seine River, which is the big fancy river there. Fancy river. It's only fancy because it's in Paris. Let's be honest. The Seine River is where I guess they're doing the Parade of Nations, which is typically just a bunch of dudes in track shoots from different countries walking in, waving flags. But I guess they're all going to be on boats. Do I have that right? I don't know. Peter says, they just did some metal thing with Marie Antoinette. Oh, man, see, this is what the show may evolve into. But unfortunately, it's not going to be that today. You're right. I should be watching this, and we should be all watching it, and we should be commenting on it live. You know what? It's a Friday. It's like, let's do class outside today. That's my attitude right now. Maybe we'll watch the Olympic opening ceremonies. There's got to be a YouTube feed that I can steal, right? Hold on. If there's a YouTube oh my God. I just realized I almost misspelled Olympics is what I'm saying. Watch party in Paris for the opening ceremony. I don't want that. I want the actual opening ceremonies. Here, let's show you what our choices are. All right. All right, so AP's got a watch party for the opening ceremonies. Let's see what they're doing.
The new era of business is here. Use generative AI on AWS to optimize production and scale your business.
You're just not going to get your son. And you know what? If we're going to do commercials, I'll do a commercial for a fine Addison energy drink company, Code Mix. Code Mix? I want to make sure I'm saying it right for them. There you go. Instead of watching the YouTube commercials, check out Code Mix. Why not? Powerade. Powerade. I like Powerade. We'll do that one too. All right, time to skip. All right, here we go. All right, this ain't what we want. We don't want that. This ain't what we want. Okay, that's literally just people watching. Oh, and it's raining. Are they going to be in the water? What is this, Reuters? They're going to give us. Well, let's see what Reuters does. That's more nonsense. I don't know what we're looking at here, folks. Apparently, we're just watching people watch the opening ceremonies. That's all YouTube is willing to give us here. All right, let's keep looking. It is raining, though. Looks like it's rainy. Opening ceremony countdown. All right, NBC. Here we go.
Are you ready for the Olympics? The big day is here. This is a live look at the Arc de Triomphe in Paris, where it's just after 8 a.m. Friday morning. Athletes are preparing for the opening ceremony. And yes, the world will be watching.
And if you can't make it to Paris, we are bringing Paris to the Bay Area. NBC's.
All right, stop it. Let's see. It said it was live. It's not live. These are... Paris Olympics opening ceremony live from Paris. All right, what's this? This looks really illegal. Oh no. All right, that's the president of France. We're gonna call that guy Tall Tattoo from Fantasy Island. And I don't know, his wife. Look, I'm gonna say this about this president of France. We're looking at the president. Am I sharing? I don't know. Is it? Make sure it's sharing. I don't even know if you're. No, I'm not even sharing it. All right, here you go. Boom. All right. Oh man, you know what? My Tall Tattoo. I called this guy. See the guy they're shaking. I called him Tall Tattoo from Fantasy Island because he's wearing like tattoo suit. I don't know what this is. These are some dignitaries meeting the president of France and his wife. His wife. Did you know the story about the president of France and his wife? Man, is that wild. This was one of them child teacher sex things. She's like a lot older than him. She's like 15 years older than him or something. And he was her student. And now they're married and he's the president of France. She's pretty hot though. I mean, I get it. I imagine she must have been really hot back then. I mean, I can't blame him. It's a little weird on her part to be seducing, a young man and then marry him and then they become president. I mean, in this country, maybe you get a book and a Barbara Walters interview out of that. You don't get to be the first lady. Hey, man, the French. Libre la France. All right, we're going to be done with this because, honestly, watching the opening ceremonies is just blah. Let's see here. The live feed is on NBC or Peacock. Yeah, see, both of those are protected, though, Peter. Protected in that I can't just show them on my stream. Otherwise, when I do, YouTube will be like, that's another strike against you. And if you get another one, you'll just be off YouTube or whatever. They'll mute me. I don't know how it works. I just know I'm afraid of phone calls from Ed on the subject. He used to tell me all the time, oh, it hurts so bad. I was like, you know what? My whole time doing shock radio, and I did shock radio for 20 years in Chicago and in Dallas. Never got fined. Never once. I'm swimming in the water with sharks. I'm talking about all kinds of vulgar subject matter. Never once, because I knew where the line was. So every time that YouTube would ding me for something in the early days of this, I took it real personal. Like, how dare you? I know where the line is. I've been dancing on that razor blade my entire life. Never been fine. All right. Are we ready? Yeah, we're ready. Let's get started. It is the rant for the 26th day of July, year of our Lord 2024. Did you know? It's the 208th day of the year. There's 158 more of these till New Year's Eve. So get those New Year's Eve plans started. As I promised, the show is broken down into 4 parts. The very first part we call Antecedently on This Day. These are events that have happened. You know what it is? It's previously on July the 22nd. Previously on July the 22nd, 1775 is the year the office that would later become the United States Post Office is established by the Second Continental Congress, and Ben Franklin is put in charge. He's made the first Postmaster General of the United States here on this day, year of our Lord, 1775. Now, why is this interesting? Because you think, this is history hasn't exactly exalted the first postmaster. It's Ben Franklin. One might think after the dust settled and they were giving out jobs that Ben Franklin, might like to be, if not like president or vice president, maybe something like first secretary of state, maybe the treasury, maybe something, some big important job. No, Ben Franklin wanted postmaster. Ben Franklin was a devious son of a bitch. Ben Franklin understood things the way other people didn't. He was playing the long game. Actually, he wasn't looking at his role in history. I think he probably assumed that was already solidified. What with the kite flying adventure and lightning and all that, he invented lightning. Did you know that? Ben Franklin. I'll Google it. I might be a little bit hazy on that, but pretty sure he invented lightning. Or is it discovered lightning? I don't know. Point is this, he made himself Postmaster General. You know why? Because in the year 1775, Postmaster General, he who controls the means of communication, is the most powerful. That's why he wanted to be postmaster. He wanted to see who was sending letters, who's talking. Well, wow, look at this. He was a smart guy. Smart dude. Ben Franklin becomes the first postmaster, a job that he wanted and he took, and he knew why he wanted. Now you do too. Antecedently on this day in 1908, United States Attorney General Charles Joseph Bonaparte issued an order to immediately staff the office of the chief examiner. It was on this day in 1908. So the very same day, not the very same day, same day, different year, we started. This seems to be a day in America where we create things. We created the post office and made Ben Franklin the Postmaster General on this day in 1775. Then on this day in 1908, we created the office of the chief examiner, which would be renamed and rebranded, but it's essentially the day that the FBI became a thing. Antecedently on this day in 1945, the Labour Party wins the United Kingdom's general election by a landslide, removing Winston Churchill from office. Now, 1945, Winston Churchill on this day got his ass handed to him in an election in the UK, okay? On this day in 1945. Also, on this day in 1945, at the exact same time, Winston Churchill was being voted out of office. He, Stalin, and Truman, is it Truman? The Potsdam Declaration is my point. He's over there negotiating the Japanese end to the war, and he probably gets a phone call where they're like, yeah, you can come home. You've been fired. Now, to a lot of us Americans, especially those who weren't alive then, certainly, I think I revere Winston Churchill. I think that dude is a badass, a man for his time. That's how history has viewed him. But, in 1945, they were done with the war. They were like, there's got to be a better way, so he actually got voted out of office in a landslide in 1945 at the very end of the war. That's a thank you, huh? How about that? Of course, history would remember him incredibly fondly, and he would live out the rest of his days as this exalted sort of statesman, this godlike Zeus of a statesman. So it worked out fine for him, but yeah, on the same day he's negotiating the Potsdam Treaty, He's being run out of office by a landslide. 1945 on this day. 1947 on this day, President Harry Truman signs the National Security Act of 1947. It created, remember, it was on this day we created the post office. On this day we created what would become the FBI, and on this day in 1947 we created what would become the CIA. Woo! Truman signs the National Security Act, effectively establishing the Central Intelligence Agency. But some other things, the United States Department of Defense. Wait, there was no Defense Department before this? The United States Air Force. Yeah, that's interesting because, the Air Force had been around for a while, but it was known as the Army Air Force. And then it was on this day that they separated the Air Force from the Army and made the Air Force its own thing. Let's see, it also, in Truman's Defense Act, he established the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the United States National Security Council. All of that on this day to go along with the establishment of the post office in 1775 and the formation of what would become the FBI in 1908. All right, very big day. We create things as a bureaucracy. We create things on this day. Antecedently on this day in the year 1971, the Apollo program. You know how I love my Apollo program, being a July 20th baby and all. Apollo 15. Apollo 15 is launched on the first J mission. All right, now, what is the J missions? I'm going to bore you with space stuff. No, I'm not, because this is a crazy one. This is one they're not going to make a movie about, although they should. The Apollo 15 mission. This is famously, the J missions were when they introduced the dune buggy on the moon. Remember, we've seen those things? I mean, you do realize that all of the stuff you've seen on the moon didn't take place on July 20th, 1969. July 20th, 1969, they climbed out of the capsule, they stepped, they walked around, they bounced, they planted a flag, they got back in and they went home. It was pretty quick. Didn't spend a whole lot of time on the lunar surface. Now, in the subsequent Apollo missions, with the exception of the famous 13, which had to turn around and come back because they had a problem, they would do all kinds of things. This is where we see the guys jumping really high on the moon and the guys golfing on the moon and the guys riding dune buggies on the moon. Dune buggies came with this one, Apollo 15. Now, here's why Apollo 15 is so interesting, because it's kind of sad, but it explains a lot. So Apollo 15's astronauts, after they landed and came back, everything was fine. They were they were also like on the lunar surface for the longest of anybody. They were like up there running around for a total of literally on the surface for like 18 plus hours, which is a lot because nobody had been, and they were up there for like days. So anyway, point is this: when they got back home, as all the Apollo astronauts were, they were celebrated as heroes and all that kind of stuff. And then came the other shoe. They were involved in a scandal. See, now apparently these astronauts went up there and hung out on the moon for this period of time with some contraband. They had postage envelopes. They had taken about 400 postage envelopes secretly. All the astronauts, the three, they had each had a bundle of them. And then they came back down and landed on Earth. Now, what's the big deal with them smuggling these postage envelopes? Well, there was a German stamp dealer who had paid them. I'm not sure what the amount of money is, but a German stamp dealer got to these astronauts and said, I will pay you X amount of dollars if you carry these envelopes into space. And then when you land, you give them back to me and I'll auction them off as Apollo 15 space envelopes and we'll all make money. And that was the plan. And people found out, and it made the astronauts look like, well, human beings, dudes that wanted to make a little scratch. That was the Apollo 15 mission. That's how it ended, but it started today in 1971. Antecedently on this day in 1990, the American Disabilities Act of 1990 is signed into law by Herbert Walker. Herbert Walker is what I refer to Daddy Bush when I want to say something good about him, because Herbert Walker, my issues with George Bush had a lot to do with the decisions that he made, I believe now, with the lens of history, at the behest of a lot of bad people. Now, those were my problems with W. I have since really come to like W as a human being, as a man. Dude's got a little Jimmy Carter in him. I'm just telling you, as far as all of the ex-presidents go, I mean, he keeps to himself, and I don't mean he's going to be out there building houses. I mean that there is just a natural warmth and compassion from him that I don't necessarily see in other former presidents. I mean, like Clinton seems phony all the time to me, right? Like that all seems, I care about you, and whatever. But W. Bush is cool. Now, his dad was a monster in my eyes. His dad, I couldn't believe when we elected the former director of the CIA to be president of the United States. I'm like, there needs to be checks and balances between what the CIA wants to do in the Oval Office. Apparently not. So Herbert Walker is how I describe Daddy Bush when I want to say good things. And it was on this day that he did the most important thing, I believe, of his one-term presidency, which is signing the Disabilities Act. I mean, look, a lot of us are like, why we got to have ramps? Why do we got to have parking? How many of these people are driving, right? We all say that when we're momentarily inconvenienced by something. But that's an amazing, like, there's no money in that. Signing this Disabilities Act was just something that was going to cost people something, and the Republican Party at the time backed it. President H.W. signed it, and basically the message was, oh, shut up and stop being a dick to people who need a little help. Help these people. It's probably the most Christian legislation that we have ever enacted in my lifetime here in the United States, the Disabilities Act, because there is no end game in it for us. You know, you had every small business in America screaming about it. We're going to vote you out of office because I can't afford to put in a $1,500 ramp. Oh, fuck you. You know what? Extrapolate that over the course of your business the next 20 years, you'll be fine. And you know what? You might actually make some money when handicapped people start using your business. It's awful to be handicapped. It's awful to have a challenge that you and I and other healthy, and we take it all for granted. It's got to be difficult. And to not want to somehow even the playing field for these people, even if it does come at a moderate cost to yourself. If you don't want to just help them, then you're not a compassionate person. And, you know, that's a humanity issue for you. So it was on this day, the American with Disabilities Act was signed into law by George Herbert Walker, and a bunch of bad people screamed about how, why are they taking all the good parking? Oh, stop it. Look, let me tell you the best thing about the American with Disabilities Act. Handicap shitters. You guys, you men know what I'm talking about. You know, the shitter at the restaurant that is, can fit a wheelchair in there. Those things are awesome. If the handicap shitter is open, I will use the handicap shitter every time. You don't want to linger, though, in the handicap shitter. You know, you want to do your business and get done. But if you want to do your business, you're in public and you need, you need the comfort of it. Handicap shitters. Sure, you don't get the best parking spots at Kroger anymore, but when you have to shit at a steakhouse, it's a lot better. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's go. On this day, antecedently in the year 2016, Hillary Clinton becomes the first female nominee for president of these here United States by a major political party. How'd that work out for her? All right, let's move on now. Birthdays. Talk about these folks. They claim it's their birthday, born on this day, the 26th day of July. Happy birthday to one of my favorite people, one of my heroes. I just love this guy, Gene Shepherd. Gene Shepherd, America's greatest storyteller. If you don't know who Gene Shepherd is, I think he's most mainstream known as the voice of Ralphie, in A Christmas Story movie, the narrator who talks about the old man. And, that guy, the narrator, the guy who voices the entire movie of A Christmas Story is Gene Shepherd. But that's not all he's done. He does narration for all kinds of things, but he was also a New York City radio host for years and years. He is an American radio icon. He is, in my opinion, one of the best storytellers that I in my lifetime. He's just a tremendous storyteller. I love Gene Shepherd, born on this day in 1921. Christmas Story, you love him too. I know you do. You probably just never really noticed, but you're like, oh yeah, the old man. Born on this day in 1922, Blake Edwards, film director, 1922. I don't think I realized that Blake Edwards was this old, but yeah, 1922, Blake Edwards. Hold on, let me pull it up because I want to make sure I do this right for old Blake Edwards. Blake Edwards, I love my directors. I love to talk about my film directors. Blake Edwards, I don't know that he gets credit for this, because certainly Billy Wilder to some extent could claim some, but he was almost more musical. I believe that Blake Edwards is the first film director to truly excel and concentrate on comedy. I mean, now we have comedy film directors, all over the place. The Zucker brothers, the Farrelly brothers, John Landis, Ivan Reitman. I don't know, some modern comedy directors I can't name, but it's common now to be a film director and say, I want to just do comedy. I mean, there's a university for it, the Second City University, Harold Ramis Comedy Film School, where you go and you learn how to be a comedy film director. I believe it was Blake Edwards is like the first guy to really do it. Let's run through some Blake Edwards films. Let's see here, going all the way back. I'll mention the big ones. Like, you'll know the big ones. All right, 1959, Operation Petticoat. All right, that was kind of a big one. He had his major breakthrough as a film director where people were like, okay, we got to look out for this guy. In 1961, Truman Capote's Breakfast at Tiffany's, Blake Edwards. Okay. 1962, he did Days of Wine and Roses, which is just... I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, The Days of Wine and Roses. Just about a couple of drunks, Jack Lemmon, Lee Remick. It is so good. It is so fun. I don't know if it's supposed to be funny. It's about alcoholism. It's about just a couple of alcoholics, and it's like what their life is like. There you go. Days of Wine and Roses. That was 62, Blake Edwards. 1963 is when he started to do the stuff that he is best known for. And he began working with the greatest comedic actor of all time, Peter Sellers. It was 1963 when Blake Edwards did the first Pink Panther. The Pink Panther films. He did them all. Pink Panther was just supposed to be a single film. This character of Clouseau was just so perfect for Peter Sellers. And Peter Sellers was a huge movie star, and he was doing all kinds of different things. My God, he was working with Kubrick. He's having a little fun here on set, being this bumbling French police inspector, Clouseau. But it wasn't supposed to be anything that was going to take off. But the Pink Panther became a huge hit. That spun off the sequel to the Pink Panther, which people don't know because it's just as recognizable as a great comedy. A Shot in the Dark came out in 1965. Now, it's interesting because in today, A Shot in the Dark would just be called Pink Panther 2, A Shot in the Dark. But back when it was released, there weren't sequels. They didn't do sequels. So when it was released, people were like, wait a second, this is the same character from the other movie. So it was new and it was exciting, and that was Blake Edwards. He was doing that. Let's see here. What else did he do, Blake Edwards? The Party. I told you about The Party the other day. It's kind of culturally insensitive, I suppose, by 2024 people. But it's an absolute brilliant comedic performance by Peter Sellers as directed by Blake Edwards. Again, I'll tell you, The Party is the story of a Bollywood actor played by Peter Sellers who goes and finds himself at a Hollywood party, a swinging Hollywood 60s party in the hills. And Blake Edwards, as the director, simply tracks Peter Sellers throughout. It's like a one-shot movie almost. It's not, but it's almost like that, where Blake Edwards' camera just tracks Peter Sellers as the Bollywood actor trying to mingle with Hollywood stars at this party. And it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. The Party. Can't find it. I don't know how easy it is. Peter Sellers plays an Indian dude, Oh, thank you very much. He does all of that stuff. That was like one of his go-to characters, and it was really good. Apparently. And by the way, he was the number one box office star in India, like doing that character. They love that character there. Not in 2024. All right, so we got the Party. Let's see what else. All right, now let's move into the 70s with Blake Edwards. The Return of the Pink Panther in 75, The Pink Panther Strikes Back in 76, and The Revenge of Pink Panther in 78. See, right here, what he's doing is he's milking it because he wanted to make a passion project. That passion project was a movie that nobody else would back. And he was like, okay, so I'll make a whole bunch of stupid Pink Panther movies. I think one of them didn't even have Peter Sellers in it. He's like, all right, I'll make a whole bunch of Pink Panther movies, but then you're going to make this movie. You're going to make this movie for me, and I'm going to put it out, and I'm going to direct it. And trust me, it's going to be a big hit. That movie was Bo Derek's 10. So Blake Edwards, he kind of knew what he was doing. Followed that up with SOB and Victor Victoria. Victor Victoria was a massive hit back then. What else? Anyway, my point is this. Blake Edwards was a real one. He was a dude. And I believe that if anyone should get credit for being a director who just exclusively went, let's do comedy, it should be him. Blake Edwards, born on this day in 1922. Would you believe after all of that I just did with Blake Edwards, would you believe that I still I still would say that Blake Edwards isn't even the most talented film director born on this day, because that's a man born on this day in 1928. In my opinion, the greatest film director who's ever lived, Stanley Kubrick. Born on this day in 1928, New York City. I always think of Stanley Kubrick. I mean, I'm a big Kubrick fan, and I've read bios on him, so I know absolutely just about everything about him. But still, in my default setting, when I think of Kubrick, I think he's a British guy. I'm like, isn't he English? No, he's a New York photographer turned film director. Blake Edwards, we just talked about, Pink Panther guy, 10. Blake Edwards was one of Peter Sellers' favorite directors. Peter Sellers loved working with Blake Edwards. Peter Sellers' least favorite director was a guy who brought out the absolute best in him, Stanley Kubrick. Stanley Kubrick's birthday today. Every year on Stanley Kubrick's birthday, I like to do a little draft. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to run through his filmography as we did with Blake a moment ago, and I'm going to tell you the good ones. The Killing, 1956. That's where it all starts for me, okay? He did a couple of other movies Kubrick did. Kubrick's my favorite filmmaker. 1956 is The Killing, starring Sterling Hayden. Woo. That's I'm just telling you, watch The Killing, starring Sterling Hayden. Then 1957, Paths of Glory. Kirk Douglas. This would start Kubrick's fascination with Kirk Douglas as a leading man. 1957, Paths of Glory, Kirk Douglas. 1960, Kirk Douglas again. Spartacus. Love Spartacus. 1962, my second favorite Kubrick movie. 1962, my second favorite Kubrick movie, Lolita. Again, Kubrick working with Peter Sellers, Shelley Winters, James Mason, Sue Lyon as the titular Lolita. That was 1962. 1964, the greatest film ever made, Dr. Strangelove. Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb, Kubrick's masterpiece from 1964. 1968, the absolute worst film that Kubrick's ever made, 2001, A Space Odyssey. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to. Fuck you. We will have this Kubrick conversation. You know, every time I run into another Cube head, you know, they're always like, God, my favorite's 2001. I go, you're a fucking poser. You have no credibility with me. If you can explain to me what that movie is about, then I'll change my opinion. But nobody can explain to me what that movie's about. I don't know what that movie's. It's an art experience. Okay, that's what I go to galleries for. That's not what I go to films for. It made no sense. Is it beautiful? Yes. Is it innovative? Yes. What's the story? I don't know. What? Is Hal supposed to be God? What are the monkeys in the very beginning? What are they freaking? What is that monolith thing in the very beginning? I don't know. 2001: A Space Odyssey. Kubrick, you shit the bed on that one, but that's okay. I still think you're a genius because you followed it up with another one of my favorites, A Clockwork Orange. Ooh. What is A Clockwork Orange? You'd say, Pugs, I've seen A Clockwork Orange. I don't know what that's about. Well, A Clockwork Orange is about what happens when a increasingly more bureaucratic and liberally permissive society exists for a number of years. That's what A Clockwork Orange is. If we don't keep liberals in check, that's kind of where we're heading. I don't say that as someone anti-liberal, but anybody who's an extreme liberal is nuts, and anybody who's an extreme conservative is nuts. But that movie, that's what that movie's about. Clockwork Orange. I love that film. My son is not old enough to watch that yet. That's going to be college. That's going to be college when he's probably smoking pot, right? That's when you're supposed to watch A Clockwork Orange. Let's finish off the Kubrick list with a couple of great ones. 75, Barry Lyndon. 80, The Shining. In my opinion, the greatest horror film ever made. Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. And in 1987, in my opinion, the best Vietnam War film, Full Metal Jacket. 1999, another bomb, another one that I just, tell your story walking. The man was obviously dying. Kubrick's got two films that I think are unwatchable. 2001: A Space Odyssey is unwatchable. It's just like, how much time is left in this? But 1999's Eyes Wide Shut is almost unwatchable, except for it's kind of hot. There's like a lot of hot, sexy stuff happening. So if that's what you're into, you can watch it. There you go. Happy birthday, the greatest film director of all time, Stanley Kubrick, born on this very day in 1928. Born on this day in 1943. Mick Jagger. Mick Jagger celebrating a birthday today. Let's check in with this dude because, would it shock you to learn that Mick Jagger is only like a year younger? And I don't even know if it's a full year. I think it might just be like months. He's just a little bit younger than President Biden. President Biden can't be president anymore. He can't sit behind a desk and make decisions anymore because, he's too old. Meanwhile, Mick Jagger is, doing world tours. Look at him there. Does that look like 81? Let's look at some more Mick Jagger pictures. Let's see. I'm going to try and find one that's Mick Jagger. Okay, right? Not great, but whatever. Dude's only a couple of months younger than Biden. Look at him. See the videos of him on stage? I mean, hold on. There's one. That's a good one. All right. Yeah. No. Oh, wow. Wow. What's going there? That's the craziest picture of Mick Jagger I think I've ever seen. All right. Happy birthday, leader of the Rolling Stones, the great Mick Jagger. Happy birthday. Let's see. Born on this day in 1945, Helen Mirren. Helen Mirren was hot, man. She was like non-traditionally sexy. And I'm not actually, I am talking about now. What is she? How old is she? 19. Oh my God, she's 80. Oh, or 79. Gosh, she's older than my mom. She still looks good though. She still looks good. I might make out with her. Would you make out with Helen Mirren today? Here's what I think I might. You ever seen her on a red carpet? She looks amazing. She's a beautiful woman. Here, let's take a look at some Helen Mirren from back in the day when she was, see what she looked like when she was younger. I always like to show these. Helen Mirren, boy, that's someone who we want to get a memoir from. Maybe she's already done it. Maybe you should read more. She was like a swinging London up and coming young hot little actress girl, like during the time of like the British invasion over here and went swinging London. I think Austin Powers, like when Austin Powers was running around London, that's when Helen Mirren was like the it girl. She's dating all kinds of dudes. Look at her, she is. There she is. There's just something so sexy about her. She's got an easy sophistication. That it's just almost like a born sophistication. Like she didn't learn anything. She just came out. Look at her right there. I think that's from Caligula. You want to see some hot sex? You want to see Helen Mirren doing hot sex? Go see Caligula. There she is. She's cute. Look at her right there. Helen Mirren. I'm telling you, every time I see her, I'm like, I'd still make out with her. It's not like I'm making out with the lady in the bathtub from The Shining. It's Helen Mirren. She looks great. Born on this day in 1945. Born on this day in 1956, Dorothy Hamill. She was an ice skater, if you don't know. She had a haircut, if you don't know. That was her whole thing, right? Well, no, I guess her whole thing was that she was extraordinarily good at ice skating. But for me, I was like 7 years old when she became famous. She was a haircut. She had a Pete Rose haircut. Dorothy Hamill, 1956, American figure skater. Let's see. Who else is celebrating a birthday today? Here's happy birthday, Kevin Spacey. You've been cleared of all charges, but you're still unemployable. Kevin Spacey, born on this day in 1959. 1964, born on this day, Sandra Bullock. What happened to her? Remember when she was like Julia Roberts? First there was Julia Roberts, and then Julia Roberts got passed up by like Sandra Bullock for a while, and I think Sandra Bullock got passed up for a while by J-Lo, right? And then who passed up J-Lo? Is that when Emma Stone? Did she come out of nowhere and pass up J-Lo? I don't know. Sandra Bullock just doesn't seem as popular as she once was, but happy birthday, Sandra Bullock. Born on this day in 1964. Born on this day in 1965, Jeremy Piven. He's an a-hole. If you listen to this show with any regularity, you've heard my stories of my ongoing feud with the a-hole Jeremy Piven. Talk about a jagoff. That's him. Jeremy Piven. He played, of course, Ari from Entourage. Character wasn't much of a stretch from the way he carries himself in real life. bit of a D-bag, if you know what I'm saying. Fuck you, Jeremy Piven. We're still at war. Born on this day in 1967, Jason Statham. God damn, you know who Jason Statham is? Every man that has to shave his head, every one of us, Jason Statham is who we think we look like in the mirror. Thank you. It is. Look at me. I'm looking like Jason Statham. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're looking like a fat, chinless guy. Jason Statham is a handsome man who happens to be cursed with a poor hairline, so he is made do by shaving his head. You don't look anything like Jason Statham. He's actually starting from a point of handsome. You're starting from a point of fuddly and your hair left. Stop. Why don't you look in the mirror and go, hey, that's Curly Howard, not Statham. Fools. Born on this day in 1967, the great Jason Statham. Born on this day in 1971, Chris Harrison. I used to love that guy. He used to hang out with pedophiles, and he'd lure them into kitchens with, sweet tea and cookies. Remember him, To Catch a Predator? That was awesome. A couple of months ago, we found a bunch of old To Catch a Predator clips on YouTube. And my son, my 15-year-old son, he was unaware of this. He didn't know this was a thing on TV, like back in the aughts. Oh, we laughed. We had a good time. We watched a whole bunch of pedophiles try to. That was so great. It's just so great. Like the pedophiles, you see them, they walk in. To Catch a Predator was a part of Dateline that I think spun off and became its own thing. It was hosted by our birthday boy, Chris Harrison. And, essentially they would just have cops posing as little girls or boys, whatever the case may be. And they would lure local pedophiles to meet up with these kids at a house. When the pedophile showed up at the house, I can't believe I have to break this down. This is how I did it with my kid. When the pedophile showed up at the house, they were greeted by the Dateline NBC team. There's just that moment of realization where they're like, I think I'm at the wrong place. And Chris Hansen's job was always, no, you're at the right place. Come on in. Can I get you some sweet tea and some sugar cookies? He was great. Happy birthday, Chris Hansen. Born on this day in 1973, the lovely, one of my top 5. I just love her. I talk about an easy elegance, talk about somebody who just seems to live life the way she wants, and it all works out for her. Why? Because 1, she's beautiful, and 2, she's talented. Happy birthday, born on this day, 1973, the lovely Kate Beckinsale. Love Kate Beckinsale. Oh, got a soft spot for her. Let me just look at her. Let me pop up the picture. Oh, and of course, it's just like a super adorable picture of her. I don't think she takes bad pictures. Look at this. Look at her. Look at her. That is God. And she's, okay, so she looks like that, which is great. She looks like that, but then she starts talking and it's just like sexy, but she can do the cockney. She has to. I've seen her do roles where she's, a little bit more. And then she can also do the very proper English. She's sexy. The accent works. It's why Australian girls are so hot. It's not that they're any hotter than your run-of-the-mill California girl. It's just the accent. That's what I think does it for me and Kate. Not the same thing with Kate Winslet, though. I don't know why. I don't know. It's Kate Beckinsale. I make a distinction between the Kate. There's a lot of Kates, right? There's Kate Winslet. There's Kate Beckinsale. There's Kate Capshaw. Isn't that one? No. There's Kate. There's another Kate. There's another English Kate. Kate, whatever. My point is this. There's a lot of them. She's the best one. In America here, we've got a bunch of Chris's. We got the Chris Pines and the Chris Pratts and the Chris Hemsworth. We got a whole bunch of Chris's over here. Over in England, they got a whole bunch of Kates. Just a bunch of Kates. All right, let's keep going here. So it is Kate Beckinsale's birthday. That's it. Okay, that's going to end it for this part. Now we're going to go to the dead people. Dead people, these are the people who've died. These are the people who've died. Shout out to Jim Carroll. Going to have a little bit more of today's energy drink, the Code Mix energy drink. I am kind of flying. Now, the other times that I've, sampled, I think I was just doing Body Armor and Powerade or whatever. Those were hydration beverages. I feel like I'm amped up a little bit. God, that is really good. Seriously, this is really good. It's a good flavor. Every time I taste it. All right. Oh, it's tart. It's really like sweet tarts. I'll go back to telling you again. It tastes like how Red Bull originally tasted it. That is crazy good. Okay, and it's warm now, but man, it's just a flavor thing. All right, let's keep going. These are the people who've died. These are the people who've died. Let's figure out if they went to heaven or hell. It makes you, it's an aftertaste that is a good aftertaste. It's like you want to like get more of that flavor. It is. It's sweet tarts. This is the closest thing to that original flavor of Red Bull. It's changed a little. This is the close. Well, you know what? Maybe it hasn't changed. Maybe it's just that I only drink sugar-free Red Bull now. I would love to taste this if there's a sugar-free version. That would be interesting too. Peter says it's the bat guano. Right. It's the bat shit. No, I don't think there's any bad shit in this, but it is good. Let's see here. Let's talk about some deaths. Dead on this day in 1863, Sam Houston. I thought about this. Sam Houston was, of course, American general, politician, 7th governor of Texas. Is he the dude that Houston's named after? I would assume so, but I don't know. Was it? No, Houston's named after his dad. Like, I don't know what the legacy is here. Sam Houston, heaven or hell? Well, I'm not gonna walk these streets here in North Texas by damning Sam Houston to hell. So let's just go ahead, put him in heaven. If he misbehaves up there, he knows where, the other places. Dead on this day in 1863, Sam Houston. We're gonna put him. Let's just. Like I said, he's a politician. He should go to hell, but I'm not going to disrespect my fellow Texans who elevate people to. I mean, there are some Texas heroes who are as exalted as founding fathers. I don't think people in other parts of the country realize that. They're all named. They're all cities like, yeah, your Austins. You got your. Well, I mean, I guess the Alamo kind of helped with that. There's a lot of heroes from the Alamo that are really exalted here in Texas. All right, moving on. Dead on this day in 1984. Here you go. This guy preemptively. We're putting him in hell. He's Ed Gein. Ed Gein. You guys know Ed Gein. Ed Gein. Ed Gein is a serial killer in Wisconsin. Where's the Ed Gein movie? Is Ed Gein? Wait, is Ed Gein who they? Yeah, Buffalo Bill. In Silence of the Lambs, a lot of the peccadillos that Buffalo Bill possessed in Silence of the Lambs, they were taking from the very real serial killer Ed Gein, who lived on a farm. I want to say Beloit, Wisconsin. I don't know, right across the border there. Ed Gein lived on a farm with his mom. It's the dude from Psycho, Norman Bates. Yeah, that character is also based on Ed Gein. Oh yeah, Ed Gein was doing the serial killer thing like years before it really took off. The serial killer thing didn't really take off until the 1970s. But boy, oh boy, Ed Gein was out there breaking records back in the minor leagues, we'll call them. Here's what Ed Gein did. He would kill people who showed up at the farmhouse and he would turn them into furniture. Yeah, he used bones to make couches and he took people's skin. He would take their skin off and he would use it as covering for like couches and chairs and shit like that. Lampshades. Ed Gein, yeah, he's going to hell. Ed Gein, yeah, died in 1984. Smee says Gein made it all the way to 1984. Yeah, Ed Gein was born here. It says 1906, died in 1984. So he was allowed, 78 years? The good Lord gave him 78 years on this planet. Shmi also says that Ed Gein was the model for Norm. Yeah, that's it. Sorry, I'm just a little behind. Shmi says Bundy made serial killing chic. Yeah. Bundy, yeah. He was like, it had a whole like Studio 54 kind of vibe around Bundy, right? Like he was handsome and kind of captured the attention. It's like, oh, this handsome lawyer is running around killing people from coast to coast. Also, Bundy was good, man. Bundy escaped. Like Bundy escaped from prison and stuff. Like Bundy was special. That dude deserves his place. He may not have the body count of some other people. I'm talking about your John Wayne Gacy's or your Henry or what's that guy's name? Henry. I don't know, whatever. Dahmer had a good body count. Who was in the 70s? Oh, well, 70s, Richard Speck. Richard Speck was really big in the 70s. Then you had like who was the one up in Northern California? There was one in the San Francisco era. Was that the Zodiac or was the Zodiac in Seattle? No, there was the Green River Killer. The Green River Killer was in Washington. The Zodiac Killer was it? Man, 70s. That was the golden age of serial killing back in the 70s. Anyway, Ed Gein, he's in hell. He died on this day in 1984. Dead on this day in 2020, Olivia Havilland. Olivia Havilland died on this day in 2020. Olivia Havilland is another one of these fascinating women. You want to talk about an easy elegance. Very sexy, timeless sexy. Although, unlike Helen Mirren, who I think is now like 79, 80 years old, I would still make out with Helen Mirren. Right at the end of Olivia de Havilland, I was not going to make out with her because she lived to be like 108. Olivia de Havilland, a big major movie star, glamour queen of like the 1930s or whatever. By the way, Olivia de Havilland, her sister was also really famous, but had a different name. Her sister was Joan Fontaine. Joan Fontaine and Olivia de Havilland were sisters, and maybe they were twins. I'm not sure. But isn't that interesting? Nah, they weren't twins. Anyway, Olivia de Havilland's got a really cool story. You know who plays her? What's the movie where she plays? Catherine Zeta-Jones plays Olivia de Havilland in something. I don't know, whatever. We're moving on. We're going to put her in hell because she's an actress. And I don't really know that much more about her. All right, no, it's not. I'm sorry. One more. Dead on this day in 2023. Here's a good one from me. I can speak on this one. That's why I saved it. I almost thought we were done, but then I remembered in the column where I have my important notes. Boom. That's where this one is. Dead on this day 1 year ago, Sinead O'Connor. It's been years since you held a baby, and I wrecked the bedroom. I love her. I love her. I think she's super cool. She had some serious mental issues. I mean, she was brutalized, though. I mean, her story, let me say this about her. She was essentially immense talent. Immense talent. You can't deny her voice. You can't deny her musical instincts. You can't deny her understanding of what was the moment. She fucking threaded that needle and became as big as anyone could for a very short period of time. Why was it a short period of time for her? Well, because she had opinions, and she was somebody who liked to share her opinions, and she was demonized in her time for her opinions to the point where her career was taken away from her. Now, Baldy, right? That's what we remember. We remember Baldy Sinead O'Connor. Why was she bald? One of the most badass, most rebellious, most defiant acts in music history. Sinead O'Connor got signed to her record deal, and Sinead O'Connor was a very pretty girl. If you've ever seen Sinead O'Connor before she got signed, or if you've ever just focused on her face and those blue eyes, she was a very pretty girl. And when she glammed up, like before she was famous, she looked amazing. She got signed to a record deal based on her talent. And she at the time had this beautiful, long, flowing dark hair. And she got a glimpse of how the record company was going to market her. And they were basically trying to make her Madonna. They were going to try and do the whole sexy thing. So in defiance, after signing her deal, she went home and shaved her head. She said, "Market this, son of a bitch. I want you people listening to my music, not looking at my tits." So that was pretty cool. Right out of the box, I always thought that was pretty cool because it would pay off for them. They didn't need to sell her tits because it turned out that she could write songs and she could perform. And her performance of Nothing Compares to You, which is a song written by Prince, just amazing. By the way, Prince had a lot to do with that too. Prince had a lot to do with the Sinead O'Connor getting discovered because Prince wanted to fuck her. That was the whole. Prince was like, yeah, she's kind of hot. So she does that. Now, why did she completely get railroaded out of the world? Well, because remember, she was controversial. She went on stage at Saturday Night Live and she ripped up a picture of the Pope. She told the whole world that the Pope was a monster. She told the whole world that the Catholic Church was terrible. Now, she is a Catholic. She was born and raised hardcore Catholic, to the extent that later in her life she would convert and a radical priest would ordain her a Catholic priest. a breakaway sect of the Catholic Church. It was a radical priest and a rebel priest, but still, she lived her life as a Catholic priest. So she goes on Saturday Night Live and she tells the whole world about how the Pope is a monster for covering up all of these child sex abuse cases. This was when, and I'm not even sure, 92, 93, something like that. The world destroyed her. Her career was over after that. Oh, the Catholic Church, you can't say that about the Catholic Church in 1994, whenever it was. Here's the thing. She was fucking right. After the world got done destroying her, after the world got done telling her, you shouldn't say that, you're evil, after the world got done doing that and the dust had settled, somebody went, hey, but you know what? She's right. She was right. She was talking about the church scandal that plagued America and the world, for that matter, for decades. She was talking about it before anybody else was ready to hear it. She was sounding the alarm. She was saying that something needed to be done to protect these kids now. And the whole world decided that that was too much for them to hear, and so that she must be eliminated. That is some bullshit, man. She died last year. She's a tremendous talent. I put her in the category for me with like Amy Winehouse. She's just like somebody who was just kind of doing it, except she wasn't a drug addict. She had some real depression issues and some slightly bipolar tendencies, and she was brutalized as a child and all that stuff. She had a rough upbringing, but whatever. On this day, Sinead O'Connor, she passed on. She went to heaven because she was a good person. That is the unifying thing about her. Everybody that knows her is like, you know, people were so mean to her. People who didn't have the slightest idea of what she was about were so cruel to her. When if you would actually have just listened to what you were saying, you'd be like, wow, that's an incredibly humanistic and kind person. Maybe a bit naive, maybe a bit pie in the sky when it comes to how we should treat each other. But she was preaching it ad nauseum, and the world rejected her for it. She told us what the Catholic Church was doing, and we destroyed her for it. All right, that's going to do it for the first 3 quarters of today's show. I would like to remind you, this show does run on your tips and your gratuities. Drop a little something if you can. Help this kind of radio. I'm going to turn this light down. I'm going to turn this light down a little bit. Oh, no, that's the camera. Hold up. Where's this? Where's the cord on? What the? See, I can't find the cord for the lamp that's lighting this little thing because it's too bright and it's blinding me. Can't find. Let me turn this down a little bit. Oh, that's kind of nice. This is really warm, but it tastes good, so I got to chase it with something cold. All right, we've got breaking news coming out of the Olympic opening ceremonies. According to Peter Lufkin, our correspondent watching TV, he says that Team USA has just started their trip down the Seine. Shmi says her voice was so haunting and absolutely amazing, talking about Sinead O'Connor. Yeah, but you know, I was raised in a Catholic, culturally Catholic home. So I was used to that style of singing. There is a style of, it's almost like banshee wailing. It's in America, you know, the hill folk call it like yodeling and all of that stuff, but there is definitely a style of Celtic singing. Another great example of that is Dolores O'Riordan of the Cranberries. Dolores O'Riordan was another one of these vocally Celtic type singers. And it's just beautiful. It's a warble. I mean, you go up and you hit notes that, you know, other people don't even try to get, and then you warble on them. It's just terrific. She had such a great voice. My favorite Sinead O'Connor is Not Nothing Compares to You, although I will tell you that I find it difficult to watch that at this age, watch that video without weeping. It is so powerful. It is so great. I like The Emperor's New Clothes. I like that song. Through their own words, you will be exposed. You got a sudden case of the Emperor's new clothes. The Emperor's new clothes. All right, let's get started. First and foremost, we're going to talk about what's happening over there in Paris. The Olympics are going on, as Peter just checked in. Team USA making its way down the Seine River. Let's see. Let me pull up my notes on the Olympics. What do we want to talk about? There's a bunch of stuff to talk about today. Like, for instance, They're worried about security concerns. Security concerns at this Olympics in Paris. They're most heavily guarded, heavily secured Olympics in the history of the Olympics. And why would they do that? Well, quite frankly, because there's all hell breaking loose all over the world. And Paris is kind of close to both. Well, I don't know if they're closer than I am here in Dallas, Texas. I assume France is right next to Russia and Ukraine and certainly not too far away from Israel. I get that it's not. But thing is this, Europe has a whole different kind of terror climate than we got here. So I am certainly on guard for something happening, some kind of nonsense, there's too much going on in the world right now for there not to be. There is too much. The Gaza thing, Ukraine, there's too much going on in the world. So Olympic security is going to be insane. What else do I need to mention about Olympic security? I don't know. Well, today, of course, this morning, the big news, story 2, trains filled with Olympic athletes have been stopped after a coordinated arsonist strike. So the nonsense has already began. These trains were taking athletes, team members from different nations to the Olympic opening ceremonies. I don't know, it's staging area. They were getting ready from the hotel to where the opening ceremonies were to be staged. On this train route, there were 2 arson fires set on the tracks and at a station. I think one was at a station. I'll read it to you in a second. They shut down the train lines. So consequently, a whole bunch of athletes missed the start of whatever is, or were late, or I'm going to read it to you because you don't need me freeballing this kind of information. This is a developing story, ... France's rail network has been paralyzed by a series of coordinated arson attacks today, affecting nearly 1 million people traveling to the Olympic Games. Flames engulfed train tracks at strategic points across the country this morning, just hours before the opening ceremonies were due to kick off on the River Seine in Paris. Around 800,000 travelers have been affected by the cancellations, including 2 German show jumpers who were set to take part in the opening ceremony who will now miss the event. All right, that's different. That's good. I'm glad I read this. That's it? There's 2 German horse rider guys? That's it? It was being reported earlier that we're talking about teams were being affected by this. There was no longer a chance of making it on time. Show jump rider Philipp Weichenhaupt, who was traveling with teammate Christian Kuckuck, told German newspaper DPA. They have any suspects? Who do they think did it? Officials condemned the attacks as criminal actions, and prosecutors in Paris opened a national investigation, saying the crimes could carry sentences of 15 to 20 years. Gare du Nord, where the Euro stop, I don't care. Can they just tell us who did it? Do they know who did it? Do they have some suspects? Like, what are we talking about? Is this a Gaza thing? Is this some French domestic policy thing? I need to know. Could not say what the athletes were being. Frank Duboudou, head of the Atlantique train line, could not say which athletes were halted or whether they would make it for the opening ceremony. He did say that services were improving and added that impact on the opening ceremony was going to be minimal. The majority of Team Great Britain were also due to travel to Paris via the Eurostar, along with thousands of travelers from the UK. Oh, so this is like not a commuter train route. This is like maybe you didn't, because Europe is like states, right? It's like that's the easiest way to think about Europe is like, look at the United States. Like here we've got Texas and Oklahoma, right? Okay, but in Europe, it's not Texas and Oklahoma right next to each other. It's France and Germany, right? So it's just like driving from state to state. So I guess this train line was something that was bringing people on the day of the event from England and from Germany to the place there in Paris. Is this one of them bullet trains? Is this one of them fat? They got those in France, right? They got the fast ones. I know that over in Asia, they got the real fast trains. They got those in France, right? I think so. I don't know, whatever. All right. So anyway, it seems like, doesn't say anything about deaths or anything, but already the nonsense is starting. Whole bunch of nonsense going on. What else do we need to talk about as far as the Olympics go? I guess that's it. Coco Gauff. Coco Gauff. I saw that. She's going to be one of the flag carriers. Tennis star Coco Gauff. Isn't she the one who's like really all about, I just want to talk about mental illness and all that kind of stuff. And everybody made fun of her. Yeah. Isn't that the one? Isn't that her? Yeah. She deserves it, I guess. Hey, what is she? Is she a black girl? I don't know who Coco Gauff is. I just saw the name. I'm thinking that's a black girl. Is she a black girl? A black girl tennis girl who isn't a Williams? Is she black? I don't know. I need Adam Reyna. Adam Reyna's got to be like, no, actually, she's Indonesian and whatever. She looks black to me. My grandpa would call her black. My grandpa would be like, that's a black girl. You're either light-skinned or, you're not. She's a good tennis player, though, I understand. And I applaud her. I applaud her openly discussing her challenges and her battles. We need more of that. We need normalize talking about how fucked up we are. Let's normalize that. What else do we have? Coco Gauff and LeBron James will be the American flag bearers. I thought it was going to be Gabby, the gymnast, the gymnast who. All right, so here's the story. So Jonathan Owens is a safety for the Chicago Bears. Jonathan Owens is not at practice today because he said he needed to watch his wife, who is some Olympic gymnast, a famous one, like a really big one, like one of the most famous Olympic gymnasts of the day. Is her name Gabby? I keep forgetting her name. I don't care. I'm not, for one, I'm a fat guy. I can't even relate to that. Two, I'm not a pedophile, so I'm not really interested in looking at 16-year-old girls in like one-piece bathing suits, do flip-flops in the air. So I don't really know about it, but whatever. Coco Gauff and LeBron James are officially the people who will be it's not the gymnast girl who Jonathan Owens isn't in Bears practice today because he said that he had to watch his wife carry the flag in, and it turns out it may not be his wife. Although it could have been because she's like a really big name. I think she's a bigger name than Coco Gauff. Although probably not, because I can remember Coco Gauff and I can't remember the name of this person. Chat room, help me out. Who's Jonathan Owens married to? NFL safety? All right, so you know what? I'll do it. I'll do it because I can't read it. Who is Jonathan Owens married to? There we go. Simone Biles. God damn it. God damn it. Why do I keep saying Gabby Douglas? Why do I keep want to go in Gabby Douglas? Simone Biles is far more accomplished. Or maybe she's not, but her name is cooler. Simone Biles. All right, there you go. Can we be done with Olympics talk? I know we haven't spoken about the Olympics. I mean, I really have barely mentioned it at all, and I don't know how much we're going to be talking about. How do you even watch in 2024, how do you watch the Olympics? I don't watch NBC TV. I don't like, growing up, that was Channel 5 for me. I think that's the case here in Dallas as well. I don't watch Channel 5. I don't know how to get Channel 5. I watch apps. I watch YouTube feeds. I assume that the way that I will absorb whatever's happening in the Olympics here is by clips, by watching clips on Twitter. There used to be, there was a time in my life where the Olympics, the Summer Olympics especially, was an event. You'd sit around all day long on a Saturday and you'd watch long jumping or whatever. But I don't envision that being a part of my next 2 weeks. I can't. Who are the stars? I don't even know any stars. Here's what I do want to watch, because I have been kind of getting a bit of a kick out of a lot of people criticizing the men's Olympic basketball team, led by, it's an absurd team. When the team was put together, people are like, this team is actually better than the dream team. Nobody's saying that anymore, but this is a really good collection of amazing future Hall of Fame NBA players who most of are in their prime. And they've been kind of going through the motions in the preliminary stuff. They almost lost to South Sudan, and everybody's like, this is it. Look, they're not going to go balls out. They're going to do everything that they need to do to win. Now, when the Olympics actually start, I can't wait to see this team crank it up, because I just like the gold medal dream team. I believe that in this Olympics, we are going, and this is also, I got to be fair to the rest of the world. The rest of the world is not the way they were in 92. The rest of the world, as far as their basketball proficiencies, have absolutely changed from 1992. I mean, there are real other countries in this world who are basketball powers in 2024 who were not in 92. That said, this team is still going to win by I would say average margin of victory, 12 points. I would say 12 points, average margin of victory. Team USA will have over everybody else they play. They're going to crank it up because a lot of people have been like, these overpaid athletes, they don't represent them. A lot of people were squawking. A lot of people were talking shit. That's all LeBron needs. What are you, nuts? That's all Steph Curry needs. What are you, nuts? I mean, come on. Yeah, they're going to crank it up. They know when the cameras are on. They know when people are watching. These are superstars. Oh, Pugs, you're getting a little confident. You know, wait till they get stomped by Germany. Okay, let's put money on that. I will blow my fucking head off if they lose to Germany. No, I shouldn't say that. But that's how certain I am that this team is going to roll through the Olympics. And honestly, before the prelims where they were roundly criticized by everybody for, you know, the Sudan game and Germany, they were like in the last couple of minutes of the game against Germany, it was back and forth. They're like, oh my God, they might lose to Germany. And then guess what happened? In the last minute, LeBron James went, time to be LeBron. And they won by 8. They just went, all right, let's start playing now. That's what they're going to do. That's what they're going to do in these Olympics. I'm telling you, it's going to be fun. So that is what I'm very excited to watch that. All right, that's enough Olympic talk. We don't need to spend any more time talking about the Olympics. Let's see here. All right, let's get into some of the politics that we don't talk about on this show. We don't like to get into politics, but as I said, man, it's fun now again. It's interesting because something has changed and people are overreacting and people are freaking out and it's getting sussy. You know what I mean? I still, you know, look, I'm not a Kamala Harris person. I've decided, I think, that I'm not going to vote in this election. I don't think I'm going to vote. I think that I want to maintain an ability to just call it as I see it one at a time. And here's the other thing. I'm a registered voter in Illinois. I don't need to vote up there. I don't. Illinois is going for Harris. That's not even a question. Just like here in Texas, Texas is going for Trump. That's not even a question. So I'm not going to vote. What's the point? What's the point? However, I am in it for the horse race. I do want to watch this sprint campaign unfold because it's going to be fascinating. Now, the first step is let's get a debate. Okay, let's talk about the debate situation. Kamala Harris appears by all signs to want to debate. She is grinding for it. She's like, come on, let's go. Anytime, let's go. We were going to do it on ABC. Trump is also saying, I'll debate her. I'm not afraid. Trump's people are saying something completely different. Trump's people are making an interesting argument. And I want you to see what this argument is. Let's listen to it together and then let's talk about it. This is essentially Trump's current official campaign line, right? Trump can go on any number of talk radio shows. And when the host of the radio show says, Mr. President, do you want to debate Kamala Harris? Trump in those interviews is going to be like, oh, I can't wait to get her. Oh, I can't, he's going to be doing all of that stuff. Meanwhile, officially, the campaign is acting a little bit differently. So the Biden-Trump campaigns agreed to these series of debates. The first one went so poorly that Biden had to drop out. But there is supposed to be another debate. That debate is the ABC debate. Kamala is like, let's go. We still doing the ABC debate? And Trump's people are saying something a little bit different. So let me play it for you. And then we'll talk about what it is that they're saying. And we'll see if there's any validity or if, and I'm telling you, this is a part of it, Trump's a little bit spooked. Trump is a little bit spooked at the idea of having to debate and argue with a black woman on television. Kryptonite. I'm never going to back away from it, man. Donald Trump has spent his entire life berating and humiliating Ivy League educated bankers and lawyers in boardrooms. On the golf course, whatever it is, these are the people that he knows how to fight. He has never, ever gotten into an argument with a black woman. Never, because just about every black woman that he has ever had any kind of daily interaction with has either been somebody who worked with him or somebody that was like enthralled, Mr. President, or whatever that is. He has never had that. I keep going back to an incident that I was involved in or witnessed at least on a Chicago city bus. It is not scary. Donald Trump has never had to argue with a black woman for a seat on a bus. He doesn't know what they're capable of. This is a completely new thing for him, and I don't know that he's going to know how to behave. That's my thought on it. I think that smart black women in positions of power are his kryptonite, whether they be state prosecutors or whatever. I just think there's... I say kryptonite because I'm trying to be poetic and colorful with the way I describe it. We'll see. We'll see. I just think that might be a completely different thing. We'll see if he can adapt to it. We'll see if he can adapt to it without, losing his shit and calling her the N-word or whatever. I mean, hey, look, I'm just saying. I think she's going to get to him. I think that she's going to fight dirty. She's city bus. She's going to fight city bus, and I think he knew with Biden was never going to fight him city bus style. Biden's is what I keep telling all the Democrats and shit. They're all like, he's going to debate Trump. I'm like, no, Trump doesn't adhere to any rules, man. Trump's going to go, you look stupid in that tie, and it's going to be great. And we're all going to laugh and we're going to enjoy it. He's going to be, you look like an idiot. Shut up. Nobody like that's how Trump debates. Someone like Biden doesn't know how to respond to that because Biden's all prim and proper. Jeb Bush certainly didn't know how to respond to that. None of the Republicans that he met in 2016 on the debate stage knew how to respond to that. I think a black woman knows how to respond to that. I think if they want to go ghetto, if they want to go street, I don't know that that's a place where Trump is used to having that kind of argument. I think it'll be at the very least very interesting. So Trump himself is out there saying that he'll debate or anywhere, anytime. His campaign is saying something different. This is from Fox News today. The campaign is issuing their reasoning for dragging their feet on committing to a debate between President Trump and Kamala Harris. And this is what they're saying, and I want to listen to it. We'll watch it, and then we'll talk about it, how we feel.
Video, she said, I agreed to the debate. And let's just talk Guy Benson. Let's just talk about the debate issue real quickly, because Kamala Harris just said on that video, she said, I agreed to the debate terms. But you weren't the candidate then. She actually didn't agree to a debate on September 10th.
It's a different campaign now. I saw her campaign put out a tweet, whatever happened to any time, any place, talking about the sort of boasting and bravado of Donald Trump. That was a challenge and a gauntlet he threw down to the winner of the Democratic primaries, who is no longer the candidate. Right? Because the first debate actually happened. We had a general election debate in this country, and it went so badly for the Democratic nominee that he dropped out of the race. So if Kamala Harris would like to have debates with Donald Trump moving forward, I think it'd be good to at least have one. I think Trump is 100% right to open the negotiations all over again, because you can't just switch in a new candidate midstream in the middle of a general election and pretend like the previously agreed to things all must remain in place for you. This is very abnormal, and so this is the right move by the Trump campaign.
Yeah. Jessica, what do you think?
All right, there you go. All right, so let's talk about that a little bit. That's what the Trump campaign is basically saying. First of all, I love all of you idiots on the right. Now, trust me, I'll get to you idiots on the left. But all you idiots on the right, you're all like, you can't do this. Let's sue him. You can't just switch candidates. You can't. You motherfuckers for the last 2 years have been the ones going, he should not be allowed to run for president. You guys have been clanging that bell for a year that Biden is unfit and that Biden is this and that. And now that we agree with you, you're like, wait, you guys can't do that. So that's really funny. That shows me that you've got some concerns about what's coming next. All right, so let's get to the meat and potatoes of that argument. The argument from the Trump campaign is essentially that when we agreed to this debate schedule, we agreed to be debating Biden, okay? We're not debating Biden anymore. It's time to go back to the negotiation table. Okay, that's what the Trump people are saying. Kamala's people are saying, oh, would you just stop it? Let's go. You said anytime, anywhere. Let's go. Come on. Who cares? Let's just you and I get in the same room together and mix it up. That's what they're saying. That's what the Kamala people are saying. Now, is there any merit to what the Trump campaign is saying? I would say that on paper, if I'm a judge and I'm looking at this, on paper, that's an argument that I can understand. I can see how that's an argument. When you agreed as the Trump campaign to this schedule of debates, you agreed to it with the understanding that you were going up against Biden. Okay. You planned, you strategized all that stuff for Biden. And this was all things that you agreed to do because you felt it was okay for you to do when you were going up against Biden. Okay, now it's not Biden anymore. So now they're saying, well, wait a second, now we got to go negotiate some new terms and all that kind of stuff. So I understand that. It's pussy. I mean, it really is pussy. It's like, what I thought it was any time, any place. Let's go, motherfucker. Let's mix it up, right? That's the attitude. But the real thing that we're learning is their big problem, the Trump campaign, is that it was agreed to be an ABC event, which Trump was willing to do an ABC event against Biden because he was comfortable with his chances against Biden. Trump don't want to do an ABC event with Harris. And I think it's because of exactly what I described earlier. I think that Trump is uncomfortable with where this could go. And he would rather it be a home game. So now the Trump campaign, they want it to be on Fox. Just this morning, I heard from leakage, as they say, outside of the Harris campaign, that the Harris campaign is like, okay, Fox, let's go. Let's go. Fox is fine. Wherever you want to do it, let's go. Come on. Which I don't think is all that smart. Again, I'm playing the role of strategist. I don't think they. Here's what I'm saying. It's pussy that you're not just going to stick with the schedule and go, but it's also justifiable that you say, well, wait, we negotiated those terms against that guy. This is a different person that we're going against, so we would like to renegotiate. I understand that as well, but it is kind of pussy. It ain't straight. It ain't, let's go, motherfucker. It ain't that. So that's it. That's what's going on with the debate. We better get a debate. I don't give a shit where it is. Trump says he doesn't care where it is. Kamala says she doesn't care where it is. I just want it to happen. I bet you both of them actually do care where it is. Although I don't know. I don't think it'd be smart for what is, first of all, the fear would be, who is Fox going to roll out there for their debate coverage? It's going to be Hannity, Jesse Waters, and Gutfeld. No, it won't be that. It'll be like their journalist people. It'll be their, I think Fox would be fine. I think Trump sees it as a home game because, more his audience watching in TV, but I don't know, whatever. Debate, hopefully it happens. We'll find out. What else do we have here? Oh, okay. J.D. Vance. I heard a very funny summation of who J.D. Vance is. I want to get this right. J.D. Vance has been called the Dan Quayle of Sarah Palin's. The Dan Quayle of Sarah Palin's. That's funny to me. That's the one. Okay, so let's look at this. This is J.D. Vance is apparently not doing so well as the vice president candidate there for Donald Trump. He is. Let's watch this. Harry Enton. This comes from CNN. This is polling breakdown of J.D. Vance's popularity. And the reason we're going to play this and we're going to listen to it is because there are very real rumblings now coming out of the Trump campaign that they may have made a mistake with Vance. That Vance was a vice president that they chose in a head-to-head race against Joe Biden and Kamala Harris at the bottom of the ticket. That has changed. And right now, now let me be the strategist who's talking to the Trump campaign. Right now, you want to win this thing? You want to fuck up whatever momentum they got going on over there with Harris and whoever she's going to choose? You need to You need to dump J.D. Vance right now. You better get on your fucking knees and you better hope that Nikki Haley will be your vice president. Because Nikki Haley is the one that Trump could now go with, and she might be able to do a little something to stop this momentum that's coming off of the Harris and whomever. But unfortunately, that's probably not going to happen. Trump will probably end up dumping J.D. Vance. I don't think that he's going to be. I mean, look, if the Democrats, as they're saying, are reshuffling, which, by the way, they got a real problem with it. You can't do that. We don't like that. They're going to reshuffle themselves. J.D. Vance, there is no way that this guy is going to make it to November. Trump wants to win too badly, and he doesn't suffer D-bags. He doesn't suffer losers. And it's starting to become very apparent that J.D. Vance is a fucking loser and a drag on this ticket. Here's some of the numbers that back that up. Watch this. This comes from, this is CNN's Harry Enton pulling the numbers. Watch this. I like watching TV with y'all, but sometimes it's a little cumbersome for me to. Here we go. All right, let's watch this now. How is JD Vance doing?
You did this. This is important. This is crucial. I mean, to compare to those, that included Sarah Palin and Dan Quayle and all those VPs that you looked at the analysis. You've got the Rust Belt, where he's from.
Yeah.
And he said Trump chose him for the Rust Belt.
Correct.
Okay, so what do we see in that? I mean, I guess let's hear it. Yeah. First of all, they've laid it out, so we'll play it.
Yeah.
He just said, look, I think we've got to go save this country. I think you're the guy who can help me in the best way. You can help me govern. You can help me win. You can help me in some of these Midwestern states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, and so forth.
Does J.D. Vance help Trump in those states?
Not according to the favorable ratings. His favorable rating is below 30%. His unfavorable rating is up above 40%. That creates a net favorability rating of minus 16 points. He does worse in his home region at minus 16 points than he does in the average of all polls, which is a minus 5-point net favorability.
Minus 16 favorability in the place that he's from. The place that he was brought in to deliver the Midwest and Rust Belt vote for Trump. And his favorability is minus 16. Now, you might be saying, Pugs, I don't have any context for that. I don't know what that even means. Well, we're going to see what that means when they apply that to other vice presidential candidates' bottoms of the ticket over the years. We will see.
Rating. So the people who know him best, the region that knows him best, they like him even less than America likes him. And of course, as you pointed out, again, in that kind intro, is he is historically unpopular for a VP nominee coming out of his first convention as the VP nominee.
All right, so let's specifically look at some former Republican vice presidential candidates. What do you see?
Yeah, you mentioned Sarah Palin. How about Dan Quayle as well? These are two folks who I think most people remember as not being particularly popular.
Look at this, okay? Dan Quayle, at the same time, was a plus 15. Now we know what eventually would be his legacy, not being able to spell potato. Sarah Palin at this point was plus 26. And we know that Sarah Palin would eventually become a drag on the ticket. And she's the reason I didn't vote for John McCain. I was voting for John McCain. I was advocating for him on my radio show. I felt that a guy who spent that much time in a foreign prison cell, because of his actions as an American wearing the uniform and getting shot down. I believe that is a man that deserved to be heard. I was all in on John McCain. And then he chose Sarah Palin, and I went, oh, fuck. This is not an honorable choice. So we know about what happened there. Look at this. Dan Quayle was plus 15 in 88. Sarah Palin was plus 26 in 2008. At the very same time, Vance is minus 5. He's got to go. Come on, MAGA. You guys got to start putting pressure on Trump. There are other people out there that would absolutely be better for this new reformated opposition. You're not going up against, Joe Biden again. You're not. The idea with Vance was when they thought they were going up against Joe Biden, it was old man Trump versus old man Biden. And Trump had in his back pocket a younger version of him. That's all it was. Harris wasn't even in the consideration of it. She wasn't even in the matrix. But now she's at the top of the ticket. And that's a much different thing for Trump to have to consider. He now has a guy that's just a mini him. He's got nothing that balances the ticket. As I say, he's got to get down on his knees and beg Nikki Haley to come back and be his vice president, because she's the only one that I can see that would be a legitimate game changer. She can go back to the middle, the people like me. I got my problems with Nikki Haley, but I don't think she's an absolute lunatic. What I do think is that she's an unprincipled social climber. But whatever. Again, I'm talking to you as a strategist. She will deliver. She will split whatever the woman suburban vote that they're all worried about going now directly to Kamala Harris. Nikki Haley at the bottom of the ticket with Trump is going to take some of that. It's not going to be as big a hit. It will still be overwhelmingly for Kamala, but it's not going to be the way it is when J.D. Vance is the other guy on the ticket. J.D. Vance, who yesterday, I don't know if you saw this. All right, we'll get rid of that. We don't need to share anymore. J.D. Vance yesterday gets up in front of a whole bunch of people and actually says these. I'm going to play it for you. Here you go. You got to hear this for yourself. This is crazy town stuff. Hold on. No. Oh, yeah. Okay. So here it is. This is what he argued yesterday. He argued that non-parents, that people who don't have children, let me make sure we have this. He argued that people who don't have children in this country should have less of a say in how it's governed. So your power and influence in this country, in J.D. Vance, in his mind, should be determined by how many children you've produced. I mean, this is just saying, all you women who can't have children, because also I'm taking away IVF. Yeah, you women who can't have children, yeah, fuck you. You don't get any kind. Oh, you husbands of women who can't have children, you unfortunate people who, and by the way, I'm taking away IVF. You people that can't have kids, yeah, fuck you. You don't have as much of a say. You, the ridiculous hillbilly with 15 kids living in the middle of a goddamn godforsaken Appalachia, you are going to have outsourced influence within this government. It's the most absurd idea ever and is so stupid. This cannot possibly. Let's listen to him. It's actually kind of hysterical. Wait a second. Am I on? Yeah, here we go. Let's get rid of that. Sorry. I mean, this guy's got to go. Trump could say these things. Like if Trump got up and said these things, everybody would go, that guy's awesome. But for some reason, J.D. Vance cannot say the same kind of stuff that Trump says and survive unscathed. Here we go. Listen to this nonsense.
You should have more power. You should have more of an ability to speak your voice in our democratic republic than people who don't have kids. Let's face the consequences and the reality. If you don't have as much of an investment in the future of this country, maybe you shouldn't get nearly the same voice. Now, people will say, and I'm sure the Atlantic and the Washington Post and all the usual suspects will criticize me about this in the coming days. Well, doesn't this mean that non-parents don't have as much of a voice as parents? Doesn't this mean that parents get a bigger say in how our democracy functions? Yes, absolutely.
All right. There you go. And that was another thing that he said yesterday that is getting him some blowback that the Trump administration or the Trump campaign didn't like. They were out countering that last night. Well, sometimes JD, I'm telling you, he's in trouble. He's in trouble and he's desperate. That is the dumbest fucking thing. That is a stupid person who isn't completely thinking this logic through. Because when it's presented by a not even clean shaven, when it's presented by a well-groomed individual in a suit who's being presented to you as someone in a position of authority, and he says it in a reasonable way, you can understand how the Germans allowed the Jews to be loaded onto boxcars. I mean, doesn't it make sense that the Jews, it's that kind of absurd talk presented in a normalized way. That's nonsense. I mean, come on, strip all of it away. He's saying that if you don't have kids and you're a grown up, you're an American citizen, you pay your taxes. He's saying that people who do not have children should somehow have less of a say in how this government works. Oh, that is absurd. How about this argument for people who don't have kids? And by the way, I have a kid, so I'm, being a bit devil's advocate here. How about this? Why do people who don't have kids have to fucking pay for schools? What is that about? Why do people who don't have kids have to pay for public schools? Shouldn't that be a thing? Okay, JD, how do you feel about that? There are a whole bunch of issues that don't affect people without children at all, and yet they willingly just pay their taxes every year. And well, the school's getting a new gymnasium, huh? I guess I'm paying for that. I'll never have a kid that uses it, but whatever. So stupid. If you don't have kids, you shouldn't have as much influence in this country. This guy's a fucking. Where's my guy? Oh, I thought my guy Frank Smith was. It's Frank. Frank Smith doesn't have kids. Frank Smith is a good conservative-minded individual. He loves his politics. I think Frank Smith probably is an advocate for J.D. Vance and the whole MAGA ticket. I'd like to know how Frank, who doesn't have children, feels about that. You being stripped of any influence simply because you don't have children. Although I don't know. Frank might have kids. Frank might be married. I think of Frank from, I used to know Frank Smith when he was a young man, and now he's a grown-ass dude, so I don't know. But point is, you can't say stupid shit like that if you're not Donald Trump. Donald Trump can say that stuff, and people go, Trump, and he's Teflon on these things. J.D. Vance ain't Teflon. he's gonna start Nikki Haley. That's who they want, but they ain't gonna get Nikki Haley because I don't think that Trump could ever do that because it would require him going hat in hand. Although maybe not. Maybe she is such a parasite and such a climber that she's like hanging around in the parking lot right now at Trump events waiting. I'm available. And that might be her too. Who's the crazy chick from New York? That's the other one that I thought. I'm like, oh, they might go with her because I think they would replace J.D. Vance with a woman. There's that crazy congresswoman from New York. I don't know what her name is. Probably wouldn't go with her though because New York is out of play. It's gonna have to be a woman. Oh. It can't be like Marjorie Taylor Greene. It can't be. He wouldn't go that far. Who could it be? Carrie Lake? No, that wouldn't work. That wouldn't work. She's losing to Ruben Gallego, so at least she's going to need work. Carrie Lake is going to need work. How about that Katie Britt? You know what? Let me tell you something. Remember Katie Britt? She was the sexy housewife who had the cross. She was wearing like the turtleneck sweater, and she did the Republican response to Biden's State of the Union. She did it from her kitchen. That turned out to be a TV set, but hey, whatever. Authenticity isn't important to some people, I guess. She's hot, man, and we don't know anything about her. Like she is kind of like what you want. That's it. That's who Trump needs to go after. Katie Britt. He needs to go because seriously, this isn't like when McCain ran, okay? Like when McCain ran, Sarah Palin was a drag on the ticket because people were like, he just brought her on because she's hot. Does he think we're that stupid that we're just going to vote for a hot chick? That was back then. That was 2008. It's 2024. Yeah, they'll vote for a hot chick. They will. We're different now. We're dumber now somehow. Besides, she's really cute. She's really cute. All right, there you go. Katie Britt. Replaced J.D. Vance with Katie Britt. Where's she from? Isn't she from like one of those places that, well, she's from a place that Trump's already got, right? Isn't she from like Georgia or Alabama or something like that? All right, whatever. Moving on. What else do we have here? That's enough about the, they're looking to replace Vance. We were talking about that. Also, here's a big shocking story that people just can't believe. That Jim Cramer guy, you know Jim Cramer, money, crazy money. I took the financial markets and crossed it with WWE wrestling, and now I'm like the most influential money guy. Jim Cramer. Jim Cramer shocked the world yesterday when apparently on his show he decided that he was going to openly and enthusiastically endorse Kamala Harris for president. Jim Cramer, one of the most influential people when it comes to stock picks in the stock market, says that his reasoning is that it's clear to him that Kamala Harris would be far better for the Wall Street and specifically Silicon Valley and tech sectors, far more than Trump would be. Therefore, he, as Jim Cramer, is backing Kamala Harris. Now, it's surprising because Jim Cramer is a conservative guy, and apparently he backed Trump in 2016. Did I have that right? So he's going with Kamala Harris now. Let me tell you, this ain't a good one for me. This is not a reason for me to like Kamala Harris. The fact that Jim Cramer thinks that she's going to be better for big tech, thinks that she's going to be better for Wall Street, that is not a selling point, but apparently to some people it might be, whatever. All right, here's another thing Kamala Harris is doing, and then we're going to move on from Kamala Harris and J.D. Vance and Trump and Biden and all that stuff. Kamala Harris is going to be on the season finale. Is that what it is? Episode of RuPaul's Drag Race. See, I don't give a shit about Kamala Harris being on RuPaul's Drag Race. That's nothing interesting. They're like, can you believe that she's on RuPaul's Drag Race? Yeah, I can totally believe it. I mean, she seems to be completely aligned with the people who would watch RuPaul's Drag Race, preaching to the choir there, right? Like, I don't think there's a whole lot of MAGA in the audience or at home watching RuPaul's Drag Race. That's just me. So nice little soft, but people are trying to promote it. Like, look at how brave she is. This is how, couldn't you imagine? No, you know what's brave? Put Trump on RuPaul's Drag Race. That's what I want to see. Now that Kamala's been on it, let's book Trump next. Let's go. Don't you want to see him sitting on that couch with like RuPaul and Lance Bass or whatever the fuck. I don't even know anything about that show. All right. Kamala, surprise appearance on the season finale of RuPaul's Drag Race. Cancel Netflix is trending. Cancel Netflix. Why is cancel Netflix trending? Well, because you crazy people on the right who are completely against cancel culture can't believe when you're canceling something again. That's right. The right is canceling something again. They're canceling Netflix. Why? Because apparently it's been reported that Reed Hastings, the guy who runs Netflix, has given like $70 million to Kamala Harris. So now you got to cancel Netflix for that. So there you go. Get on out there. Byron, you better not have Netflix. I tell you, anybody who's MAGA, you better not have Netflix because you're being ordered to cancel by people who don't engage in cancel culture. Trust me, the right is so against cancel culture. Fuck, everything that gets canceled comes out of the right. Bud Light. I mean, it's all, the left, the idiots on the left, they cancel stupid shit too, but it never catches on. It's because it's like too obscure. It's like, what are we canceling? We're canceling petroleum mining in the Siberian East. What? That's what you're canceling? Fucking weirdos. Fucking blue-haired freaks. But then you get like the Republicans who are like, I hate the libs for canceling everything. By the way, don't forget, cancel Netflix. Because they gave money to Kamala, you bunch of bitches. Stop it. Cancel. We hate cancel culture, and yet you keep it alive. You keep it alive. Everything canceled. Hashtag cancel. Just look at it all. It is all conservative shit. It's all like conservatives canceling shit. At least, I don't know, that's how it is on my Twitter. You people. All right, moving on. Let's see here. Cancel Netflix. Oh, what a surprise. Reed Hastings, the guy who runs Netflix, a guy who's about neck deep in all the Hollywood bullshit that there is, one of the most powerful people in Hollywood. Oh, what a surprise that he gave money to Kamala Harris. Time to cancel Netflix. Yeah, you'll be back. Cancel it now. And then as soon as like Drive to Survive or whatever, season 4 comes out, you guys will get it again. Cancel Netflix. Just stop canceling shit. You know what? You know who started this bullshit, though? You know who started cancel culture? I did a deep dive a couple of weeks ago on the history of cancel culture. You know who started it? Jesse Jackson. Jesse Jackson started cancel culture. Operation Push. Do you remember Operation? Maybe you don't. It was a national thing. But 1970s, it was based in Chicago. Jesse Jackson was Jesse Jackson. He was a national presence, but he ran his company or his group, Operation Push, out of Chicago. And what Jesse Jackson would do is that he would take money from people who wanted to fuck with a major corporation. So let's say there is an oil company that is doing something wrong. People who wanted to take down the oil company or cause them some trouble would go to Jesse Jackson and Operation Push, and they would pay them, would donate $1 million to Operation Push. And guess what would happen? Out in front of the corporate headquarters of that oil company, the very next day, there'd be 200 black people with signs screaming about how this oil company is racist. That was the origins of what we now consider so easily cancel culture. It started with Jesse Jackson, at least as far as I can tell. You might be able to direct me to something that occurred before that, but really, as far as it being a weaponized tool to get some kind of idea across, I think it was Jesse Jackson and Operation Push who started that. All right, cancel culture, live and well on the right. Can't watch Netflix this weekend. We've been talking all week about the situation going on with the NBA and their rights distribution deal. We talked about how TNT, they're like, what do you mean? We've been here for 40 years with NBA games. TNT's supposedly out of it. The NBA wants to be in business with Bezos. So they signed a giant 10-year deal with Amazon Studios and all of that. So the NBA will no longer be on TNT after 40 years. Goodbye, Ernie. Goodbye, KJ. Goodbye, Charles. Goodbye, Shaq. Or is it? Because you see, there was a contract that Warner Discovery, the parent company of TBS, there was a contract that stated that if the contract was coming up and there was another bidder and somebody else wanted to take the deal that was currently in possess for the past 40 years by Warner Discovery's TBS, somebody wanted to do that, Warner Discovery would then have an opportunity to match. Okay? They would match. So in this case, the contract was up. Warner, TBS, wanted to renew with the NBA. The NBA had another quarter, if you will, Jeff Bezos and Amazon. Now, the NBA wanted to be in business with Jeff Bezos and Amazon because why not? So they signed a deal. They took the deal with Amazon. Now, according to the contract that TBS has, they have a right to offer that and match it. And if they want to match, then they have to retain their rights, according to this NBA contract. They're saying TBS they were never given the right to match. They are saying that they would have matched it. And for the last couple of weeks, they've been talking about how this is going to be a court case. We are going to shut this deal down. We are talking about billions and billions and billions of dollars here. Well, they filed suit this morning. That's right. After a couple of days of hemming and hawing and are they going to or are they aren't going to? They did. Warner Discovery has filed suit against the NBA. Let me give you the details of this, although I think I pretty much just told you all. I can't blame TBS. What is TBS without basketball? I don't know what's on TBS. I've never watched anything on TBS. Hell, I stopped watching Conan because he went to TBS. It's not anything against Conan. It's just that I never think to watch TBS. TBS and its parent company, Warner Brothers, named the NBA in a lawsuit just days after the league denied its bid to extend its broadcast partnership. The lawsuit filed Friday morning in New York County Supreme Court stems from the league's rejecting Warner Brothers Discovery's attempt to match a bid from Amazon Prime Video for broadcast rights beginning in the 25-26 season. So yes, this also needs to be noted. There's going to be an entire season next year of NBA on TNT. It's still next year. It's still going to be the same NBA on TNT. We're talking about this new contract beginning in the 25-26 season. So how awkward is next season going to be if they don't get this resolved? All right, so we'll see how this plays out. But I'm telling you, of course, the NBA would rather be in business with a digital monster like Amazon than they would with some old-timey cable TV channel. I know Warner Discovery is trying to get their imprint bigger there in the digital world, but we're still talking about a handful of cable channels that nobody watches anymore. That ain't what Jeff Bezos is bringing to the table. As somebody, if you are looking at the next 20 years of growth for the NBA, you've got to be wanting to be in business with Jeff Bezos and get out of this crazy deal with the Warner Brothers from 1940. What are you talking about? We're the home of Bugs Bunny. They don't want that. So Warner Brothers is going to make a big mess about all of this. All right, what else do we have here? I don't care. You know, people are like, but we love Ernie and we love Charles. You're going to love whoever they put on Prime. And quite frankly, it's probably going to be the same people. Oh, I know, Ernie Johnson. Who's cool. I like Ernie. Ernie is saying, I am not leaving TBS. I am staying here. I will not go. Yeah, that's called posturing for contract. He wants a big contract. He wants an Al Michaels type contract from Amazon because he knows that's what they give out over there. This dude's probably been woefully underpaid working at TBS. So don't confuse what is seemingly Ernie's loyalty to TBS for anything other than he's just posturing to get a better negotiating position with Jeff Bezos and Amazon Prime. He wants big money. I believe that this court case will go nowhere. There might be something paid. There might be some money paid to Warner Discovery or whatever, but I think that it's going to be Amazon Prime who ends up winning this thing. And I think that in the 25-26 NBA season, we will see the entire NBA on TBS crew or TNT or whatever it is. It's all the same. We're going to see that entire crew over there at Amazon. And they're going to be like the highest paid crew. Charles Barkley, I'm going to retire. No, you're not. You're only saying that because you want them to pay you more. All right. What else do we have? Remember the story from last year? It's kind of come back. Elon Musk versus Mark Zuckerberg in a fist fight. No. So Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg were supposed to have a fist fight last year. And, like I was telling you, this is so stupid. these are two, with all due respect to my friends who are on the spectrum, these are two incredibly powerful dudes who are on the spectrum. And they're like a couple of like complete, well, unique individuals. Let's call them that. I want to fight you. I want to fight you. I mean, it's so weird what's going on here. Now, it's even weirder when you understand the next level of this is that Elon Musk is just a fucking doughy, pale, pasty, nothing of, at least as far as we know about being able to fight. And we also know at the same time that Mark Zuckerberg has been training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for years. His videos are all over YouTube. We've seen him fighting people. We've seen how he rolls. For people who understand what's happening, he's not an amateur. He's he's like a multi-billionaire, so he probably practices every day for 4 hours. And he probably hires the absolute. Mark Zuckerberg is a legit Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fighter. I don't know about fighter. We're going to call him practitioner, okay? Because he's a billionaire and he's, older man, so he's not really fighting. So just the very concept that Elon Musk has such little respect for what that guy can actually do. And I'm not defending Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg's another weirdo. They're all weirdos, man. Remember, Mark Zuckerberg got to this place in life, one of the world's richest men, because he was an unfuckable dork in college who wanted to somehow spy on all the chicks that were in his class. That's why he created Facebook or FacePage. He wanted all of the pictures of all of the girls that were in his class, and he wanted to be... That's where it came from. He's just an unfuckable dork who's now worth like $100 billion. And he might be worth more than 100 billion. He probably is. So that's who he is. And so now he's there. And then you got Musk. Musk believes he's an alien. I think Musk might actually be an alien. I do. He's either an alien or he's like right on that precipice of being a super genius or a super retarded guy. He is like right there. He's like getting a little bit of both. So anyway, they were supposed to fight, and then Zuckerberg's like, yeah, let's do it. And then Musk is like, I need back surgery or whatever. So it all went away. Anyway, it was Musk who everybody went, dude, the whole world is going to see him fucking tap you in like 30 seconds. Is this something you really... So Elon Musk came up with an excuse and the whole thing went away. Well, it's back now. It's back now. Elon Musk is apparently now taking to the stage here. I'll read you this story. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg appeared severely unenthused about Elon Musk's latest invitation to fight. Mark Zuckerberg's response, "Are we really doing this again?" Zuckerberg said in a post on his Threads. Musk, the owner of X, but again, right, so do we realize this like Threads, which I use sometimes, although not very much. Pugs Moran, find me on Threads. Zuckerberg has Threads. Elon has Twitter or X or whatever. So it's, it's this kind of a thing. Musk, the owner of the social platform X, we call it Twitter around here, he renewed speculation of a fight between the two tech moguls during a visit to Capitol Hill, where he was a guest of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Excuse me. In front of the divisive Israeli prime minister's address, he said, "I'll fight Zuckerberg any place, anytime, any rules," said Musk. This was in response to a question from a reporter about Mark Zuckerberg. Musk and Zuckerberg had floated the idea of a fight last year, but the showdown never came to fruition. The X-owner initially challenged the Meta CEO as the social media giant was preparing to lease Threads, its ex-rival. Musk said, "I'm up for a cage match if he is," Musk said at the time. Zuckerberg, who took up jiu-jitsu years ago, appeared interested at first, writing, "Send me a location," in an Instagram story. However, despite repeatedly going back and forth online, the two never met for a fight. Musk camp claiming medical issues delayed the initial... Okay, whatever, it doesn't matter. They're not going to fight. And now Musk is like, I'll fight Zuckerberg. And Zuckerberg's back there going, dude, okay, really? We can do this again? Fucking weirdo. When Mark Zuckerberg thinks you're a dork, that is not good. All right, let's see here. Harvey Weinstein. Let's talk a little bit about Harvey Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein, putting him on an egg timer. He about to die, maybe. We got a death watch for old Rapey McRape-a-lot. Harvey Weinstein is in a hospital with COVID and double pneumonia. Double pneumonia. That's a weird word. It's pneumonia, but P-N-E, whatever. Anyway, hey, good luck to you. Good luck to you there, Weinstein. Fucking dirtbag. All right, there you go. What else do we have? Let's see. Hey, you want to see video of, let's watch video of a fight in a Plano Walmart. Huh? You want to see that? That was going around on, I saved it for today's show. I didn't know if we'd have time. This happened up in, let's see, fight breaks out at Walmart in Plano off 75 in Spring Creek. All right, who's down? Let's watch. Okay, let's see what we got. All right, yep, that's definitely a Walmart floor. You know who wouldn't have a floor like that? Target. Target would have a nicer floor. Target's floor is like white and sometimes has patterns and stuff, and I think it actually does. I think it's got little red dots on it, whatever. Walmart. Walmart is the less stylish Target. All right, here we go. All right.
Piece of shit! You asshole! No, stop.
All right, so what we get from here, and we'll watch it again. It appears to be an old white man getting his clock cleaned by a black dude. And, of course, you know, the old white man, he drops the N-word. F-U-U-N. And, you know, the black dude is just like, oh, man, what the fuck? So, based on that, we don't know how it started. Let's watch it again. We don't know how it started. Two guys were being assholes. And, you know, the old white man gets his ass kicked here. Okay, that's it. Boom. That's it. It's just, he uses, all right, so the black dude, you can see him there. See his right? He just does a little jab that fucking connects flush right on the old man's chin. It's like, see how the old man is bent over leading with his chin and he's got his hands down? This old man doesn't know how to fight. He's never known how to fight. This black guy sees that opening and just boom, quickly with a left, gives him a little boom, a little jab. It's pretty beautiful. Here we go. Boom. There it is. One more time. Hold on. Nope, that was it. Here it is. Boom. 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 Oh, I love it. I love it because I bet that white man's an asshole. I don't know about the black guy. I don't know if he's an asshole or not. We don't know how this started. I do know that the white man yells the N-word at some point here, and that makes me lose respect for him and side with the black guy sight unseen. He just gets, and by the way, old white man acts like a total bitch too. Oh my God. Dude, don't fight no strangers. This is, you know, these are people who are not, first of all, both of them aren't allowed to listen to the show. You're not allowed to fight in a Target or a Walmart. Can't listen to the show. If that's your thing, here we go. Let's watch more. I love him right here. Look at him. There ain't nobody near him. And he's screaming like a stuck pig. He's like, Rah! There we go. Let's watch that again. Here we go. Gotta give old man credit. He's a salty old dude. He's not giving up. He's going down. He right at this point, I think the old dude knows he's probably going to the emergency room anyway. So why not leave it all on the table? That punch. The old man wound up with everything. And the black dude just like caught it. Was just like, okay, dude, stop it. Watch this. Here we go again. Piece of shit. You asshole.
Stop. Fuck you, motherfucker! Fuck you, motherfucker! Piece of shit! You asshole! Stop.
I don't hear the N-word. Hold on. If I can be honest here, I'm listening to this. I don't hear the N-word. This is being presented that this guy said the N-word. I'm not hearing it. All right, he just said, fuck you, motherfucker, and he's winding up for the most inept balloon punch ever. Look, he's just standing there. He's like, oh, man, I'm just going to catch this fist. He just said, F you, motherfucker. Piece of shit. You asshole. Stop. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not hearing the N-word. So I'm gonna have to retract what I said here at the beginning. It was made clear in some of the comments that that's what was said, but I'm not hearing it. I don't have any. I don't know what's going on now. All I see now is a dude beating up a dude. All right, there you go. That's happening in Plano's Walmart. But guess what? We've got more. That's right. There's more video. There's more video from that fight. Let's see what's going on here. So I guess this just picks up right where we left off. Again, this is Spring Creek in 75, a Walmart there in Plano. This is my son's hometown. This is maybe even his Walmart. I don't know. I don't know if he goes. They're fancy. Yeah, they may not even go to Walmart. They seem like Target people. When I say they, I mean my son and my ex-wife. They're Target people. Classier than Walmart people. All right, here you go. Let's see. There's part 2. All right, asshole, piece of shit. I am not hearing the N-word, so let's take that out of this equation. It's just two people that got beef. No, okay. I thought maybe he was going to give me. I thought maybe we were going to get an N-word. Okay, so stop it. It's not a racial thing. I thought it was. I apologize for presenting it that way. I had read in the comments there that, people were like, well, you called him the N-word or whatever and called him. And I'm, well, you know what? You can say that, but that's not what I heard. I didn't hear it there. Maybe it happened. I have limited evidence as to what went down. That right there just looks like a big, and that black dude was kind of ripped, right? He ain't a fat dude. He ain't like me. He was kind of ripped. And he knew how to fight, too. That jab, when the old man just leaned his chin in and they just effortlessly went with his, what was it, with his right? Yeah, it was just like a reach jab. Pop! He just clacked him right there on the chin. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. Joel says maybe he said the N-word before the tape was rolled. Yeah, maybe. And that's what people are in the thread underneath it are saying. But fuck those people. That's not in the video. That's not evidenced by the video. If they're just saying that, were they there? I don't know. It's a very, very volatile situation whenever you see people of two different races fighting. And then for some reason, it's like, well, it was a racist thing. Okay, was it? Can't just two people of different colors fight for other things? Like a parking spot or... hey, you're looking at my woman or whatever. I mean, it doesn't always just have to be, you're black, I'm white, let's fight. That white man got tuned up pretty good. He was bleeding. Barney says he said fucker. Well, he definitely said that a couple of times. Absolutely. I heard that. He also called him an asshole and all that stuff. Let's see here. What else do we have from today? Oh, okay. So we're going to end up with this. Take this to your women, or women just have this as something that you need to know now. This is a new study. I like to end each and every show with something fun. Here's something fun. Hey, women, if you're not having sex once a week with your man, you have a 70% more likelihood of dying early. That's right. It's a new study. New study makes frightening find about women who don't have sex often. Here's a little one for you. What do we call them? Childless cat ladies? All you childless cat ladies out there. Wait, just because you're a childless cat lady, it doesn't mean you're not banging. It doesn't mean that at all. A lot of women, I mean, I got a friend, a woman. Yeah, I'm not going to say Lacey G by name, but I got a friend who doesn't have children, and she's like real sexually active. She could fall into the childless cat lady thing, but she's not. It's not like she's not out there having the sex. She likes the sex. She's having a lot of the sex. I just heard a story about her having the sex today from her. That's why I'm comfortable. But I would never mention Lacey G by name. Women who rarely have sex may not only suffer a bit from pent-up tensions, they could also be heading to an early grave. This according to a new study. Scientists found that women between the ages of 20 and 59 who had sex less than once a week had a 70% higher probability of dying from any cause within 5 years. This compared to women who had sex more than once a week. The sluts will live on. That's what we're learning. Going to be a whole lot of old sluts in this world. I can't wait. About another 10 years. Actually, we might be close. It's got to be my generation. It's got to be like another 10 years. Can't wait for all these old ladies with tattoos, these old sluts, tattoos, and still smoking Marlboro Reds. They're like the last couple thousand people on the planet that still smoke cigarettes. That's what we're gonna have. A bunch of old sluts. Women who rarely have sex may. Let's see here. Scientists found that women between the ages of 20 and 59 who had sex less than once a week had a 70% higher probability of dying. These individuals had elevated levels of protein linked to inflammation, which can cause damage to healthy cells. So, women who have, and by the way, they make no distinction here, vaginal or anal sex. Women who have vaginal or anal sex regularly apparently release a protein in their body. The act of sex releases a protein in the body of women. And apparently it's a good protein. And it's something that women who don't have sex don't get. And it makes them susceptible to all manner of disease and death. So here's a long way of saying, you women, tonight in that bar, when that gross dude sidles up next to you and you would never in a million years think about going home, you would never in a million years decide to take that 3 o'clock slop home with you. Maybe you ought to reconsider, because your life may in fact depend on it. The sluts will outlive us all. Yeah. Thank you very much. All right. That's going to do it for today's show. It's been a wonderful week here from the eGallery Studios, the Radio Misfits Dallas. We are changing by the moment. I appreciate you hanging around while we try and figure out what this is going to be. I'm going to have some news next week on what exactly you can expect from this 3-year-old now daily live stream. Changes are coming. Next week is going to be Pledge Week, though, so we will head into that. Normal shows next week, but I will be divulging some of our plans for what is going to be happening around here. I want to say, look at Joel. I want to say hi to Joel. I didn't say hi to everybody in the chat room hanging out with us today. Why has the chat room gotten so much smaller the last couple of days? Why is it down to that's not good? Why we were one quarter? Is that because of the Twitter? Is this a Twitter situation? I love seeing the new people. Don't get me wrong. Growth is good. But I'm wondering why the numbers on the actual views at the end of the day, they're not changing. But the numbers in the chat room, was there that many people from Twitter that were hanging out in the chat room? I don't know. Shmi says that story I just did sounds like a fake study. Well, yeah, that's kind of, I only give you the ones that sound like fake studies. I don't know if you know this or not, the actual studies, incredibly boring. Actual studies that are released every day are incredibly boring. So I only give you the ones that sound like they could be. Frank says you need to post the show on Twitter. I need to post the show all over the place, and we're going to start doing that. We're no longer going to be the show that is designed essentially just to keep my chops up. It is now time to try and grow this time period and do some things that maybe we weren't doing. Concentrate on areas that we weren't concentrating on before. And by that, I mean signal distribution, growth, teaming up with other people. All of these things are in the mix as we expand and grow Radio Misfits Dallas here live from the E-Gallery studio in Dallas's beautiful design district. We'll see you back here again on Monday, right around noon. All right, I love you guys. Have a great weekend. Pugs Moran, the rant is over.